and welcome to this week's Three Legs, Four Wheels F1 podcast. It's Paul here with...
Sean.
Chris.
I just battered my mic with my hand.
Hello, I just battered my mic with your hand.
And Lee.
Hi, Lee.
We are pushing the boundaries of professionalism this week, aren't we?
Absolutely. I think we're just breaking new ground, just episode after episode.
Yeah. Well,
Just keeps the listeners on their toes if we batter the microphone stand once in a while.
We're not the game, we are the game.
Yeah.
yeah, hello and thung. Well, to be honest, it's good that you made a loud noise just to wake people up after the snooze fest that was the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
Not a classic.
No.
It was what I would describe as an early 2000s race.
Processional, you mean?
Yeah, just a parade.
It wasn't even processional because, well, easy for me
Because
to
you can't say it.
Yeah, because at least in a processional race, the cars all followed each other. They weren't even like really close enough to, for it to be a procession.
No, and it's weird, because that... If you look at the drawings or layout of the Abu Dhabi track, you'd think, oh, that'll work well as an overtaking circuit. You got like a fast first section with a hairpin, then long straight chicane, twisty bit, start the lap again.
Yeah.
That should work really well. And in theory, it should be a great circuit for overtaking.
Yeah.
But it isn't. And alright, okay, the whole sunset race thing is cool. And metaphorically as well, the sun setting on the season, and
I think the problem is that whole circuit was being built with the paddock in mind.
we're going into the marina
And having the hotel there above the circuit and stuff.
Yeah.
It's all there for
it's a
eye
spectacle.
candy and
Oh,
billionaires.
it's desert Monaco.
Yeah.
It's a spectacle, don't get me wrong, but it's
It's the wrong
It's not a good
prescription.
track.
yeah.
I was more concerned with the TV coverage. I thought the TV coverage was some of the worst live sports TV coverage I've ever
I
seen.
don't think they had anything to show.
Well, no, but even so...
No, careful, we were watching Canadian football last night.
Right, okay.
That's three guys called
You're
Gordon and
bordering on
iPhone.
racist now, Paul, from the two podcasts. Just saying. I can't believe what you said about black people. But
Nothing.
they're not nothing. But the problem was, like, even if there's nothing going on, like, at least just circle the cars. Go through the grid. There was more shots of the fucking sun than there were of the front runners.
Yeah, there were the sun setting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got
6 minutes till sundown, people. It's like, well, it's not New Year's Eve.
I've got
What
to
you count
admit
down
It's
to?
not exactly the Le Mans 24 hours either, you dicks.
There were points during that race I actually thought I'd sat on the remote control by accident and put on Apocalypse Now.
I felt really tired watching that race because I'd had a few drinks the night before. And I got to a point where I thought, there's 30 laps to go here.
I could fall asleep.
I could miss 5 or 10 easy and be still fine. So I had a quick snooze, helped the race go past. I was fine. You shouldn't be able to do that in live sporting events.
No. I have to agree with Lee on that
You're
one.
not a cricket fan, obviously.
No, not a cricket fan. And I said sport.
So yeah, again, not a classic, but should we go through the teams per teams? It seems a bit weird, doesn't it, that Formula One's over already for the year?
Yeah.
It's been a fast season.
It's been a fast
It does
season,
seem
but
to have gone quick.
it's not... It doesn't seem... I mean, I saw your comment, Paul, saying doesn't seem like 10 minutes ago we were getting up for the Australian Grand Prix, first race of the season. Forget that. Do you remember this time last year when we were like, oh, the difference between 2016 and 2017 cars... Oh, they're going to be a bit wider. The tyres are going to be wider.
Yeah.
We were like, oh, they're going to be great. And yeah, to be fair, we've had a good season. I wouldn't say it's a really classic season, but it seems odd that it's over already.
Yeah, it does. I wonder whether half of that is because we had like a championship up until the summer break, and then after the summer break, even though Hamilton needed to get some wins under his belt to get into the stride, as soon as we got into the second half of the season, even when the championship wasn't over, you knew it was over quite fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Lenny Kravitz said it ain't over till it's over, but it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Turning point for the season for anyone, or should we do this on a later podcast?
We might as well do a full season review next week because we've got like 3 months to fill.
Yeah.
Well, no. Do you remember last winter we thought we'd have nothing to talk about?
This is true.
And
And
then
then what?
Rosberg retired.
Yes. Then Rosberg retired.
So this year we're saying we're going to have nothing to talk about, just to sort of prompt the hope that something major
Kubica
happens.
comes back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we
Or Lewis grows a second head.
Yeah.
Or releases an album.
I love to so just quickly. We're not talking about anything in particular.
That's every week.
Oh yeah,
For the last 133.
Apparently, Andrew Benson was saying that Felipe Massa was being petulant a bit and wanting the decision made. About Williams. By all accounts, talked himself out of a Formula One drive, because if he hadn't and he'd waited and not forced them into making an announcement, Williams would have kept him on next year, because they're not convinced with Kubica, and the other choices are uninspiring.
That sounds about right to me, because he did get very gobby for a while, didn't he?
And we did say that at the time, didn't we? Has Massa talked himself out of the seat?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's twice this year we've been right about something.
I tell you what, the thing is, and this is the problem for Massa, but if Massa could do what he's done in the last 2 races every weekend, it wouldn't be a case of will Williams get rid of Massa. It would be a case of will Williams offer him a 1 or 2 year deal.
Yeah.
Because he was fantastic in the last 2 races. I'd say maybe his best 2 races since his accident.
Brazil definitely stands a chance of being his best race. It's that. Remember, he could have won in Azerbaijan as well. Williams were convinced that because Massa's pace was quicker than Ricciardo's, that he was nailed on for the win until he retired.
Yeah.
So
Stroll's done nothing but prove me rightly recently.
So basically,
he was terrible this week.
Basically, Massa's been nailed on for everything until he's retired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm getting a theme here.
Well, I mean, to be perfectly honest, is it? I know they've announced his retirement and stuff like that, but let's be honest, they announced his retirement last year.
Yeah, but he says he means it this time.
No, but he obviously doesn't mean it, because he's sort of said as much that he doesn't want to retire. So I don't believe that if this test with Kubica goes badly and they ring up Massa and go, we know this is going to look ridiculous, but do you want to drive next year?
I think he'll turn around and say no this time round.
I don't. I think he'd want to stay in Formula One enough to do it, to say yeah. Especially if he thinks the car's going to be better. If next year's going to be your first Williams with proper, what's his name, input.
Paddy Lowe.
Paddy Lowe's, yeah.
Well, they did have another polarising race though, didn't they, Williams?
It's only polarising because Massa shows you where the car can be,
and Stroll
shows you where I would put it.
Yeah, Stroll kept going through his tyres as well, didn't he? Kept wrecking
How many
them,
pits
so.
did he have? About 3 or 4
Three,
pit stops.
3. I think.
Shit. It wasn't like
I thought this should have been, in theory, and I think I said it last week, should have been a good circuit for him.
Yeah, because it's easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the thing is,
Well, you say it's easy. We haven't seen the Formula lead times yet.
I didn't even do any of the lap. Didn't have,
Don't care. You got on the scoreboard.
I don't mind.
No, neither do I.
I'm quite happy that the season of Formula Lee's gone, because I find that game quite uninspiring.
I do
looking
too.
forward to trying the classic cars though.
Yeah, which we'll get onto later. But yeah, as we started talking about Williams, should we carry on with Williams first?
Yeah. We might as well.
What are you doing?
You
Are
hit
you
your mic,
still
you punched
drunk?
the table.
I don't. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, Williams have basically come out and said they don't know why Lance Stroll was so slow and why the car was so bad.
I've got a few fucking ideas if they want to ring me up.
It just didn't work for him, apparently.
What, the wheel and the turning of it and the pushing the pedals?
By the
Not
sound of
locking the
things.
tyres, trying to keep
Well,
the car actually
have you got
on the
the
track and not
qualifying
in
times
mid-air.
Because I know I tweeted up, I think it was like Q2, just for people, for anyone that wasn't paying attention.
Well, Massa made Q3, didn't he? And
Yeah.
Stroll was last in Q2.
Yeah, but he was half a second off Massa. But I'm convinced by the time qualifying ended that Massa was like a second clear of Stroll's fastest lap.
Yeah, quite possibly, especially as Massa made it through to Q3.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's have a look. Massa's fastest time in qualifying was in Q3. It was 1:38.550, and Stroll was actually faster in Q1 than he was in Q2.
Q2 time was...
Q2 was 1:39.64.
yeah, more than a second.
More than a second.
Yeah, and
Well
in
spotted, Lee.
Q1 it was 1:39.5, which compared to Massa's 138.6 in Q1.
It's just not good enough.
No.
There was a bit in Q3 with Stroll as well where he was saying to his engineer, I'm really sorry, I gave it all I could. And the engineer was having to, coddle him almost. Don't worry about it, mate, it's all right. It's not.
It was right at the end of Q1, wasn't
Was
it?
it Q1?
It was Q1 when he was doing his in-lap saying, no, that's the best I can do. I can't give it any more.
Did I
Have you
see
got, the
Q3? I think I
season
meant
wiki up
P3.
there?
I can have.
How many points does... Oh, mind you, he got that third, which kind of slants the points a little bit. But what's the difference in point-wise between Massa and...
1 point.
3.
Is that what
Was
it
it
is?
3 points?
3 points. Massa finished on 43 because don't forget he scored in the last 2 races when Stroll didn't.
No, the podium skews it a bit, doesn't it?
A little, yeah, but Massa's points finishing in the last 2 races is 3 points difference.
Massa missed a race as well.
Massa missed a race in Hungary, of course, yeah, but then Lance Stroll was awful in Hungary, if I remember rightly, as well.
Yes, he was 14th out to 17 classified finishers.
Yeah, and Massa's car didn't finish with Di Resta having an issue. So, yeah, I mean, we've got conjecture and speculation to talk about with where Williams are going to go with this seat, but it's Massa's seat they're replacing and not Stroll's, and they obviously Williams see Stroll as an investment for the future.
No, Williams sees Stroll as an investment.
Yeah, for their future.
Yeah.
But
I wonder if they've actually got that worked out. If I'm right, and he's never gonna be like a proper Formula One driver.
Yeah,
he's always gonna be Ericsson. Then
oh come on, no, he actually knows what a podium looks like.
Only by accident. Do you think Williams could have it worked out? Go, well, things are a bit funny here. We need money before any cost cap possibly comes in 2021. They realise that they're essentially running a one-car team until 2021 when the cost means they can afford to get rid of them.
the patience will wear out eventually.
He's got so many reasons though to keep him in the team.
About 15 million next season.
30 of them a year, isn't it?
No, it's 30 this year and it's 15 next.
Oh, is he half that? They're half in it next year.
I think the whole deal was 60 million over 3 years, but front loaded.
Right. Okay.
Because it was 30 million this year, and then I think it's 15 for the next 2.
Jesus.
So
he's essentially paying a good Formula One driver's salary to race.
Yeah.
No, that's what I think. Button was Button on 15 million when he signed his contract as world champion.
Something like that. I mean, Hamilton's in contract talks apparently with Mercedes, which is going to be worth 40 million a year. So if Stroll has given Williams 30 million this year, is that 3/4 of what Hamilton was worth to Mercedes that Stroll is worth to Williams? No is the answer to that.
Yeah.
It's a shame to see Williams in this situation, but sadly that's economics.
Well, it is, and they have made management changes. Paddy Lowe, of course, being brought in at the beginning of this season, and Paddy Lowe's brought in a few people from McLaren. Dave Redding, I think, has gone to Williams from McLaren. He was an ex-team boss, and McLaren and Mercedes. Paddy Lowe's basically been cherry picking from all of his former teams.
He's got enough of them to pick from.
Yeah, well, even Williams is one of his former teams. He was a race engineer for Nigel Mansell when Mansell won the championship in '92. But it's a restructuring thing for Williams, and it's odd that stability in a Williams team going forward is Lance Stroll as a driver and someone else that's still unknown.
Yeah, the Williams way of doing things is to win and then bin off the person that wins and bring in the next person that's going to win.
That always used to be their way of doing things.
That is how they've worked.
Yeah.
Right, okay, we've got a world champion, they're going to want too much money, let's get the next world champion in.
Yeah.
Now it's, let's have a couple of adequate drivers and one of them's paying the rent.
Yeah, pretty much.
They're losing a couple of the sponsors this year. I don't know, and the Martini deal is up for renewal at the end of 2018 as well.
Yeah, still question marks over whether or not they need a driver over 25. Martini is still saying that they do. Williams are saying that it's not.
Now Martini are now saying it's not as important.
Right.
I
Because
think-
it was
I
Williams
think
at
it's
first that
the
was saying that it wasn't as important.
Yeah, now Martini have said it's not as important, which leads me to think that Paul di Resta is going to be with the team in one capacity or another next season.
If he's not driving, he'll still be reserve driver.
Yeah, so if they do bring a younger driver in, it'll be Paul di Resta that you see holding the Martini bottles going...
They won't
Drink
bring.
this.
They're not going to bring a younger driver in.
By all accounts, Lance Stroll's dad wants someone to mentor him, sort of a more experienced driver, someone of that ilk. So
Well, Cuba can put an arm around him.
yeah, well, one, yeah.
Someone like Jenson Button.
Yes.
I think that might have been what they were getting at, but obviously that's not going to
No.
be going.
Yeah.
But
No, well, Jenson did actually post a picture of his final race just after the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and a few people like, does this mean, is this a comeback? Are you posting pictures of your race car because you'll be back racing? And within a couple of hours, he posted a picture of him with his team from Abu Dhabi last year. It's been 1 year since I hung up my F1 race boots, as if to say, no, listen,
Yeah.
it's not happening.
is he just trying to erase all memory of Monaco then?
I think so, yeah.
Probably.
That didn't happen, did it, Lee?
Yeah, the problem is that if he does come back, he's got an instant three-place grid drop.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Oh, yeah, good point. Yeah, for his next race, yeah.
Yeah, I think with the sort of the retirement picture during the last race of the season, there's an American footballer called Marshawn Lynch,
Yeah.
who announced his retirement a couple of years ago during the Super Bowl by tweeting a picture of his boots hanging over a wire.
Yeah, that's quite
he was
cool.
hanging
Yeah.
up his boots.
But also he did a Massa.
Yeah, then he took a year off and came back and plays for a different team now. That went really well.
Ah.
Should we move on to Sauber? Because
Yeah, we can do.
that could be two drivers that we're not going to be seeing in that particular team next season.
Well, yeah, rumours around Sauber and their future, never mind the driver's future. I mean, we don't know whether Ericsson, even though his mates kind of own the team at the moment, we don't know whether they are, whether his seat is stable, basically. Pascal Wehrlein looks like he's off to DTM for their last season for next year.
if he doesn't get the Williams job, which is apparently very, very, very unlikely that he will.
I think they've given up on him. Mercedes.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that.
I just want to find a message we got sent at the weekend.
Was it that chat thread with Niska that we had?
Yeah, Niska sent
Yeah.
it through to us.
Regular listener Niska, who was talking about the difference in qualifying, I think it was, between Ericsson and Wehrlein, because we always say Ericsson's basically a non-driver. He's always that far off the pace, and he's happy to be that far off the pace, which is ridiculous. Whereas Pascal Wehrlein is actually, I think, has only been 4/100ths of a second on average.
Yeah, just under half a tenth faster than Ericsson
Yeah, on average.
on average.
Which, of course, lends to some people's opinion that Pascal Wehrlein really isn't as good as he says. And I think Niska's one of those people who's been saying that for a while. That, Pascal Wehrlein he's not spectacular.
Her words were, makes Pascal look very overrated speed-wise, doesn't it? Especially compared to the shocker that's Marcus Ericsson.
Oh no, and Ericsson is a shocker. Let's be
God,
honest.
Yeah.
What was the stat we heard this weekend that Marcus Ericsson is without points since Monza of 2015?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
2.5.
the only full-time driver not to get points
just
this year.
ridiculous,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the last time he scored points, was Monza 2015.
It's a bit gutty Ares, and look what's happened to him.
Yeah, and you got to wonder whether or not he would have stayed in the team if his mates hadn't have bought it out, So you could have, but the uncertainty that's hanging over Sauber at the moment, you could have both those drivers back in those seats for next year, or neither of them.
You're gonna. I'm surprised because wasn't the talks? There was rumours that there was going to be a live press conference with Sauber last week confirming the drivers
After the race, it was supposed to be.
but
Yeah,
after
it was
the race,
rumoured
and
that,
it
yeah.
hasn't happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there was rumours about them being unveiled as Alfa Romeo as well, wasn't
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Ferrari.
Makes you wonder why that didn't happen.
Well, Ferrari may not supply engines to customer teams next year. Oh, no, hang on. No, wait, they will. Of course they will. But they would be taking a leaf out of Renault's book, supplying Red Bull as Tag Heuer and badging their engines as Alfa Romeos. So there is possibility that Haas and Sauber will be powered by Alfa Romeos. But there's also a further possibility that with a bit of extra investment Ferrari money pumped into Sauber, they could become either Sauber Alfa Romeo or full-on Alfa Romeo works team.
Yeah.
Which would give Ferrari a bit of an edge, because then they'd be able to test parts on that car. Does that work? And then feed something very similar back through the Ferrari. Oh, you can't feed the same parts through, obviously, because that's breaking the rules, like as what happened with Toro Rosso and Red Bull.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's
But oh look, they've got a diffuser that looks like that. We should have one as well.
Yeah. Well, that diffuser didn't work for them, so we shouldn't build one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't have that data, but one of the guys who works for both companies does have that data.
Yeah. It's very easy to leave a USB stick lying around in the factory.
It is, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, obviously one of the drivers is going to be out because nothing's been signed and nothing's public yet, but Charles Leclerc is going to be in a Sauber next season.
Pretty much, yeah, and the strong rumour being that Antonio Giovinazzi will take the other seat. Of course, both Ferrari young drivers.
Yes.
Lending more fuel to the fire that they could essentially become a Ferrari junior team.
But then they go and do something like announce their driver lineup for the tyre test this week, Tuesday and Wednesday. And
Tuesday is
Marcus Ericsson.
And Wednesday
is Antonio Giovinazzi.
Yeah, but that makes sense. Because it makes no sense.
Could be between those two.
Yeah. But even if they're not going to keep Ericsson, it makes no sense for them not to put a driver that knows
hang
the
on.
tyres.
Hang on a second. Charles Leclerc is down on one, and Giovinazzi I'm seeing mentioned on another site.
I was going to say, I thought it was
Sauber definitely tweeted Leclerc and Ericsson tomorrow.
Yeah,
it's Ericsson tomorrow. Leclerc. I'm looking at it right now on Sky. On the website.
Somebody we actually believe.
Yeah. Ericsson on Tuesday, Leclerc on Wednesday is what I've got.
It doesn't make sense to have a tyre test and not have people that you can get any feedback from. Do you know what I mean?
Hey, Lee, look who's driving for McLaren on Tuesday.
Where's McLaren? Where have you gone?
That tweet.
Alonso Oliver Turvey.
He's still a thing.
He's still there.
Just, I know we shouldn't be saying this. Just check my mic's coming through, because I don't know. I hit something then. I didn't know whether it was a pop.
No, I can still see you.
That's good.
Running with audio problems, it's fine.
I think I can still hear you as well.
Yeah, that's grand.
Yeah. So anyway, so Verline looks like he is definitely done. He's going to be going back to DTM.
Yeah, whether or not he'll resurface in Formula 1 as a replacement for Ocon when they eventually put him in a Mercedes and Verline ends up going to a Mercedes supply team, or
I think he's got to do a lot to rescue his reputation.
That's his best chance, I think, of being in Formula 1.
Yeah, by the time Ocon goes to Mercedes, though, I think George Russell will probably be a thing.
Knocking on the door. Yeah. Well, Pascal Verlaine's Mercedes' first young driver, isn't he, to bring through up to Formula 1?
Yeah.
And
swing and a miss.
Yeah, failed experiment, I think we can call that.
Yeah. The prototype. The MP419.
But
call me mini disc.
Yeah. Obviously, clearly Esteban Ocon looks like the real deal.
Yeah,
and,
definitely.
We'll get onto Force India a bit later on, but lots of conjecture to talk about over the winter, of course, until they announce anything.
Because we are going to spend the next 3 months stabbing blindly in the dark.
Until we
and then
hit
when
something.
we finish stabbing blindly in the dark, we'll talk about F1.
I was stabbing blindly in the dark. I had a baby.
Oh dear.
Move on to Toro Rosso next. Another, let's just forget about it. They're in the car to learn the car for next year.
And also the car was falling apart towards the end of the season.
Yeah. Brandon Hartley, once again, engine penalties.
4 races in, 4 engine penalties. He's never...
I mean, one good thing in Formula 1 is when a driver shows consistency. And he is consistently getting penalised for the engine being shit.
Yeah.
There's been no measure of Brendan Hartley, really, has there, in the 4 races that he's done. I mean, he had a fairly good showing in America, but it wasn't...
when the car's been on the track and actually working, he hasn't been fast.
No, because he's been in the team for the races where Renault said, actually, we don't think the engines will survive unless you run them at 80%.
Yeah, no, but he hasn't been fast in comparable to where you think they should be.
Yeah, he was faster than his teammate that's done the same number of races as him this season.
I don't know. I there's just to be perfectly honest, him and Gasly, there's just something about the two of them that I think
looks weak.
They are the disposable Toro Rosso team that we've seen a few times.
Yeah. Are we going to see Toro Rosso doing what they've done to Kvyat this season, or the Red Bull organisation have done to Kvyat this season, and one or both of them won't be in the car come the end of the year?
Possibly,
year,
but I think it's more the fact that the drivers, even if I'm right and they're not particularly good Formula One drivers, or they haven't got the Daniel Ricciardo, Verstappen or Vettel potential that Red Bull want their drivers to have. Mm-hmm. I still think their drivers are the least of that team's worries.
Well, it's going to be what's powering the car next year.
Yeah,
it's I think Gasly's probably got more potential than Hartley, just being younger and having that.
The credibility, the credentials he's had from other Formula.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I mean he's been nursed, hasn't he, up to this point, whereas Hartley was unceremoniously sort of kicked out. Did all right for himself and has been sort of brought back.
Plus Hartley's from New Zealand. There's only 40 of them. What's the chance that one of them's going to be a Formula One driver?
There's only 40 New Zealanders. Fair enough.
One of them lives over here.
No, I know two Kiwis that live over here.
Two of them live over here.
Yeah, and they both ended up being called Skippy, which is Australian. Irony, we've got it somewhere
in bucket loads. It's all right. The Skippy I'm referring to, big Skippy.
Big Skippy.
We should say he absolutely loves you calling him an Australian.
Oh yeah, loves it.
Yeah. So
sometimes I just Facebook message him now and again, just saying g'day.
Oh dear.
Yeah, the other
from Facebook messaging being you wouldn't say it to his face.
No, God, no.
Yeah, the other Skippy who we won't call Big Skippy, even though he used to be a professional rugby player.
Yeah.
I don't call him Australian. Right, Haas next. Another one outside the points. Not as binary as usual this time, because Grosjean wound his way up to 11th, and K-Mag bored his way to 13th.
I'd just like to say, by Grosjean finishing 11th, it justified my tweet saying that him and Lance Stroll were given a masterclass of how not to score a point.
Yeah, absolutely. Grosjean taking the Esteban Gutierrez position of 11th.
Yeah, that tweet yours did make it onto the live blog.
Yeah, but Kevin Magnussen, if you remember, spun rather unceremoniously at turn 2 after running extremely wide at turn 1. And then got to turn 2 and had some imbalance with the car and just lost the back end. So ended up being last for quite some time.
Yeah.
And finished 13th. I think he was the only one doing any overtaking, to be quite honest with you. We just didn't see it because K-Mag.
Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing great you can say about either of them this week. Grosjean, we didn't hear whinging too much on the radio.
No, we did. He said his car smelt hot.
That was during qualifying, wasn't it?
Yeah, but your car smells hot in the desert. It's probably a good thing if it smells.
That's such a stupid thing to say. My car smells hot and it tastes of yellow.
Yeah, but don't forget he's got a new cookbook out. So
cooking with him and his wife, isn't it?
Him and his wife have released a recipe book. The thing is, what is it?
It's called Grosjean.
It is. It's
140 odd pages, but only 46
recipes and about 90 pages long, which means there's way too much information about why they like those particular recipes that you probably don't need to know about.
Although there was one picture of him in full cycling gear, still with a helmet on, eating a bowl of pasta, sat under a tree. Make sense of that.
Okay, where did he put the bowl when he was finished?
Probably best not to ask.
I didn't look at his shorts.
Yeah. Number 2, how did he get there?
By bike.
Yeah, with the bowl of pasta.
Maybe he has a special pasta bag.
I would think Romain Grosjean, you're not going to put on a race bike, you're going to have him on one of those little old-fashioned bikes with the wicker basket in the front of it.
Maybe that's what it was. Yeah,
Wicker
Bottle
basket for pasta.
Bottle of olive oil and a breadstick hanging out of it.
just a Grassini, and it's just a single.
But he'd still complain the brakes didn't work. That's about the most interesting thing we can say about Haas this weekend. The car smelt hot, and we don't know what his recipes are like. I'm not spending €30 on that book.
Haas, of course, missing out on, as well as Toro Rosso, missing out on that 6th place in the Constructors' Championship.
Yes, the big three-way battle that just turned into a complete non-event because
Nothing
out
happened.
of the 6 cars that were fighting for that 6th place, only one of them finished in the points.
Maybe we only heard half the transcript of the message, and it was, "My car smells hot. It would go great with the Grosjean family cheese sauce, which you can make if you buy a new cookbook."
Yeah. Maybe that could be it. Yeah, the engineer just switched the radio off. Not now, Roman.
Roman, shut up. McLaren. 12th for Stoffel. 9th for Alonso. Last Honda race, and they get a couple of points.
A couple of muck points. Courtesy of Fernando Alonso, of course. Stoffel Vandoorne struggling with something.
Did he run wide and dirty his tyres up and slip back a bit?
Yeah, I think
Did
he
I
did.
imagine that? I'm
He said it was like driving a rally car, and we heard his engineer coming on the radio to him and saying, "We know you've had problems, but you've done really, really well, mate, to drive this."
But he was slowing, well, comparatively slow compared to Alonso in qualifying as well, wasn't he?
Were they aligned astern in qualifying, 11th and 12th? I think they may have been.
Were they?
Alonso got a flying start again, like he usually does, and was actually hassling Force Indias early on.
But not to hate on the young drivers, as I seem to be doing all the fucking time. But
no, they were 11th and 11th and 13th in qualifying.
Not 11th and 12th.
Not 11th and 12th. It was an all Spanish 6th row.
Yeah, but I do think that, mate, especially when it comes to race time, like he can't live with Alonso, like at all.
Interesting radio message from Alonso at one point though, when he said he wasn't going to get anywhere from 9th. Is there anything he could do to help Stoffel get in the points?
Yeah, no, that was brave. Yeah, where is Stoffel? I mean, he's what was he was 13th, was he at the time, something like that?
12th or 13th.
Yeah, so is there anything I can do to help him get into the points?
But the problem
was he basically saying he wanted to back the field?
I think he was
to
was
Stoffel.
asking if there was any benefit to
the
it.
problem was, and this is the first time we've been able to say this about a Honda, the gap was too big between Fernando and the car behind for him to back him up.
No, it wasn't. Didn't Fernando end up finishing
but he was. I think it wasn't just that. It was the fact that Stoffel was 20 seconds behind Alonso. That's
It would have had to
No, he was more than that. He was, I think Massa
was quite a gap.
Massa was about 30 seconds behind Alonso.
The gap back to Massa was too big once he got past him.
God, it just shows how good that car is once you can just put laps in, and he's not trying to get past somebody with the engine deficit. It shows what it can do around the rest of the lap.
Yeah, because he had a good old battle, did Fernando, didn't he, with Felipe, second race in a row, former teammates. It was great to see them having a little battle for the last time.
Yeah, it's funny how his last 2 races have been with Alonso, isn't it?
Yeah. But last race was Felipe is faster than you, and this race it was Fernando is faster than you.
I always think that Alonso's clever enough that whenever he puts stuff out on the radio, especially if it's not him asking for specific information to do with his race, if he says anything that isn't directly to do with himself, it's always a loaded statement. And I do wonder whether him saying, "Is there any use of me backing the pack up," essentially to help Stoffel get in the points, I think he was just merely highlighting the gap between him and his teammate.
Yeah, there's a possibility of that, I suppose.
Just like because don't forget, as good as Alonso is, he's still the old man in the team now, and he must feel that. As good as he is, he must feel that having the youngster there.
The days are closing in,
and I don't think it'll do anything to his own confidence to constantly point out how he's still doing over the young lad.
Midlife crisis, obviously.
Maybe, yeah.
Well, yeah, because the whole range of McLaren surfwear that he's bringing out next season.
Yeah, which is weird. Why does a Formula 1 team need surfwear?
Maybe like surfing.
No, why does a Formula One team need surfwear?
Now Adrian Newey did something a few years ago with the America's Cup, didn't he? He did a yacht. Maybe McLaren are getting into that.
Adrian Newey retired for a little bit with Ross Brawn to go fishing, and to go fishing you need to do things on water.
Obviously.
Official surfwear partner of McLaren.
I genuinely think that Alonso is going to end up leaving Formula One, doing eventually, who knows when, doing the whatever he needs to do with the IndyCar or something like that, and then come back in a management role at McLaren.
No, I reckon Alonso will get to 50 and he'll be the guy with the long hair and a beard on
the Indy grid.
Yeah, in a yurt in Goa or something.
Maybe. But no, I do. I think he's going to keep these ties he's got with McLaren. I wouldn't even be surprised if he bought in some way.
Yeah, possibly. He's been doing a lot of business work, hasn't he, this last week? He's got his own e-gaming team now.
But he's got his own like kart series and his own his karting team, I think, and World Kart Championships and stuff.
Yeah, I think he set up a cycling team a few years back as well.
Yeah, you get to.
Maybe that's what Grosjean was doing with his past.
Do you think there's a chance that Grosjean could get a ride with Alonso's team?
Now that
unless he was the chef.
If it's indoor cycling, of course.
Even then,
in a velodrome, the bikes don't have brakes.
Oh no!
So there's nothing for him to complain about,
except for the lack of brakes.
Yeah, I've got no brakes.
That's the point.
Yeah. Renault, controversial.
Well, yes. Science. Should we just start with science straight away?
Just quickly, I'm putting my theory out right now before we even talk about the team.
Good.
I think that was the FIA or Formula One as a whole supporting the manufacturer and giving the manufacturer a leg up to help them get the prize money over Toro Rosso.
Conspiracy theorists unite.
Could be.
It's possible, I suppose. I mean, it seems very. It's not just a case of something happening and then Chase Carey getting on the phone to the stewards. Hey, make sure that penalty is lenient. Then there's not to be any outside interference from anyone in the stewards.
No, but if you don't
room.
believe that there's an
agenda,
FOM representatives that are in there and speaking to people all the time, and even the people that are making decisions are deep enough in Formula One to know what's best for the sport.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. It's worth about $10 million, wasn't it, that sixth place over not getting there sixth place.
But he really cut the corner massively, and I think, to be honest, he should have given that place back because he cut a large chunk off the.
Yeah, he wasn't forced off. Perez was nowhere near him.
No, Hulkenberg made the error, didn't he, at the end of the second straight, and just took the shortcut. And if you remember, the whole shenanigans at the end of the '89 season, I think it was when Prost and Senna had that collision, and Senna went through the escape road, and he was disqualified for not
reversing, doing a U-turn and coming back onto the track facing the wrong way, doing another immediate U-turn.
Yeah, and then here we are.
But wasn't he racing a Ferrari?
No, he was racing a McLaren, his teammate.
No. Oh, was it?
Yeah, his teammate, yeah.
Well, no, it was Balest that was in charge then, and he was heavily in favour of Prost.
Well, that's what I mean.
Right.
Like 30,
I knew there was some sort of collusion there.
30 years later, somebody misses a corner, gains an advantage, gains a place, which does have a bearing on the final outcome of the championship. All right, not the deciding number one in the championship, but
$10 million is worth. Not to be sniffed at.
Exactly. And 30 years later, it was just like, you have a 5-second time penalty, which Hulk waited until he built the gap of 5 seconds, which, let's be honest, at Abu Dhabi isn't difficult because no one can get close to you anyway.
Yeah. Nearly screwed it up in the pit stop though, because they had problems with the right rear.
Yes, or the left right, as I said.
Oh, the left right, as you said at the time.
Yeah. Oh, was that the left right?
Yes.
Which
it was the left or the right.
Brain fart.
Were you out on Saturday night by any chance?
No, I wasn't. I had that's when I had my Honda film.
And your Honda takeaway.
Yeah, my Honda takeaway. It took 2 hours to get to me.
And it was half good.
Well, I was watching a movie that was sponsored by Honda. So I was like, oh god, it's going to be really slow and break down before the end. It was actually my takeaway.
Was it Apollo 13?
No, it was. I Can't even remember what it was.
Really made an impression.
Yes.
on you.
Oh no, it was Ex Machina because we were watching it the other night for the first. Yes, there you go.
But just going back to Sainz quickly, he wasn't, and the car just didn't.
Well, no, Sainz was doing all right, and looked like he might steal, a 10th place perhaps, and then at the pit stop, he left the pits and realised his wheel wasn't attached properly, and then decided, I'm going to leave the pits anyway.
The problem is though with the pit there.
It'd be funny if they got a
there's
$10
nowhere-
million fine for that, wouldn't it?
There's nowhere to pull off, because if you pull off in the tunnel, you're blocking the exit.
Yeah, he sort of half thought about it, didn't he? He pulled over and then obviously realised I'm underground.
the back end of the car was still
Yeah.
on the on what is effectively the track.
Somebody will block that pit exit completely one day.
One of these days it
Yeah.
will happen, yeah. But there's no escape road if something like that happens. He did his best to hang on to the wheel just to get it somewhere where he could pull off the circuit.
What would they do if that happened?
Double waved yellows in the pits,
Close the pit lane.
Yeah.
and probably bring out a virtual safety car.
But what if cars needed to stop and it was like,
Critical.
That's
critical? Yeah.
that's why they bring out a virtual safety car, just to slow everyone down so there'll be no more tyre damage.
I don't think. Yeah, it wouldn't stop tyre damage, though, would it?
No,
I
but
think
it
you have to red flag the race.
I think it would depend on the situation, wouldn't it?
Depending on how long it takes.
Depend
as
how
well.
badly they're wedged.
If it was going to be if it was going to be more than like 2 laps, you would probably need to red flag
Well,
it.
don't forget, it's going to be difficult anyway, because if you break the suspension in that car, you're not rolling it anywhere.
No, and you can't get a crane in because it's underground.
So they'd have to get the pit trolleys.
You're talking
Yeah.
about half an hour, 45 minutes to remove a car from there.
I wouldn't have thought it was that long, because they'd have to get the pit trolleys in and then just find a way of wheeling it out.
No,
Well,
closing
yeah, but
the
if
pit
something
lane, I
underneath's
think.
broken, are you going to be able to get the trolley underneath?
They'd have to get a truck in there.
They probably would. They probably have to get a flatbed to it.
Yeah.
But anyway, it didn't happen this time.
No, quite reminiscent of Button's retirement at Silverstone a couple of years ago when McLaren didn't put the wheel on properly for Jensen as he left the pits. But yeah, sad end to the season for Sainz really, because he's gone to Renault with high hopes of basically destroying Hulkenberg, taking over as that team number one. It's not really happening.
He had a good
yet.
race, didn't he? His first race was good, and then since then, Hulkenberg has just gone to town on him.
Yeah, he's got winter to put his.
Maybe they'll swap cars back, and Hulkenberg's got his own reliable car back now.
Yeah, maybe.
He's got winter to get his feet under the table, Carlos Sainz, and just sort of,
His lone feet under the lone table.
Yeah. And just sort of work out exactly how the Renault team works, get used to their way of doing things, and hopefully they'll come back with an equal battle. Because I think that's probably going to be the most exciting inter-team battle for next year. Sainz and Hulkenberg.
Possibly.
Maybe, yeah.
Oh, also, did you spot Sky's Ted Kravitz stealing your joke?
No.
He stole your bonsai joke.
Did he?
Yeah. Whilst interviewing Sainz and Hulkenberg, an interview which fell completely flat on its face.
It was awkward as hell, that wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, try to ask Sainz and Hulkenberg as to whether they were better or not than other driver lineups on the grid, and got to mentioning the Red Bull drivers, and Sainz just wouldn't say anything.
Although one thing we do have to congratulate Renault for, Jolyon Palmer's 6th place won them the sixth place in the championship.
Yeah, so well done, Jolyon Palmer.
Yeah, he has a lasting legacy on the team.
Wonder if he got a bonus percentage in his contract.
Bonus? He didn't even get the rest of the races.
I think they'd have paid him to
It'd
go
be a
away.
Performance bonus.
I think he might have been paid off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Palmer still finished above Verline in the Drivers' Championship.
Wow.
And Kvyat.
And
Kvyat was behind
Kvyat.
Verline.
And Ericsson.
Everyone finished above Verline.
Right, what is next? Force India. Perez was in full-on complaining mode after the second
Rightly
corner.
so for
Yeah, you
once.
can understand that.
I must admit, when he started complaining that, and before we saw the replay of what actually happened, I just took it for granted that he was wrong.
I assumed as well maybe some of the complaining was because at that point Ocon was quite close behind him and he just wanted to get a buffer in there.
Yeah, and with it being the last race of the season, we actually saw Force India's occupying almost the same part of the circuit not that far apart, and I thought, ooh, we're going to have a nice little race here, because Ocon was fuming after qualifying on Saturday, because he qualified behind Perez and I think it was Hülkenberg as well, and he was fuming. He said, no, I should have qualified in that 7th place. He said, I know I could have qualified in that 7th place, and I'm really angry with something. I can't remember what it was.
Himself. He should have done a faster lap. That's
Exactly,
how it works.
Yeah, there were no penalties to be had,
No.
so...
Yep.
And, of course, this being the first race since Bahrain that the grid has started in qualifying order.
Yeah.
Even though Hartley had that 10th-place grid penalty, he qualified last.
Yeah.
By about half a second.
So started last.
Yeah. But yeah, we had to check up on that, and thanks to Sean Kelly, Virtual Statman, for giving us that just as the blog started.
Yeah, there was no need to say that. As soon as you were about to say thanks, I thought, I know whose hands have been all over that.
Yeah, we tweeted him. It's like, Sean, help.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks to a friend of the podcast, Sean Kelly, for that one, and also Sean's...
all the best of the future of that man.
Yeah,
as well,
yeah, of course. Sean's last
And
race.
the rest of the NBC team.
Yeah, but mostly him.
We have complained about the NBC coverage in the past.
Well, we've relayed others' complaints because we don't actually watch it.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I did see someone complaining that they switched to NASCAR instead of sticking with the podium.
Ooh.
That's fair.
It's NASCAR.
But people do like if you it's like watching if someone's watching football in the pub and you want to watch something else, yeah. When the game's finished and it goes to analysis, it's only right that if somebody else wants to watch another sporting event, you turn over.
Right, yeah, but you've just said another sporting event.
No, I'm even giving this NASCAR. They can have it. Like that was the correct decision.
You feeling all right?
Yeah.
Anyway, back to Force.
Those men have got children and sisters to feed.
Some of them are the same person.
God damn it, that man's got a cousin.
This is chief mechanic. Back to Force India, though. There was only 6 seconds between the two cars at the end. Do you think that they were deliberately given made to have a little bit of a gap, and the team orders were carrying on right to the end, just in case Ocon decided to go for it?
No, there'd been no benefit to it.
No, exactly. There would have been, as Sean says, no benefit. Ocon probably would have burnt his tyres out if he chased after Perez and even followed him for a few laps. And there was no way Perez was going to make it easy for Ocon to get past. But much like Renault, that's going to be an inter-team battle to watch for next year. It really is, because I mean that's Ocon's first. Let's not forget this. That's Ocon's first full season in Formula One.
Yeah.
So you know the boy is a future star in my eyes anyway.
I think you're right.
He's a full package, and I think Sergio Perez, after being the young buck sort of, a little bit gung ho in his early days at Sauber and getting a couple of podiums, and he's now not that young guy that everyone's like, ooh, he could drive for a big team one day. Now that's his teammate Esteban Ocon, and he doesn't like it.
See, this is my thing with drivers that come in, and this is why I've got a bit of a problem with the Van Dorns of the world. And Fairlines. I think you can tell in half a season if someone's any good. I don't think there's such a thing as the slow build champion.
I think to some extent you're right. I mean, I think we knew with Vettel
Yeah.
straight away.
We knew with Hamilton straight away. Verstappen.
Yeah, the more spectacular ones.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't know with Button, though, to be honest with you.
I was going to say, there's no such thing as a slow build champion
I think he did.
wins the title in the 9th season.
When he came in, no, that's fine. But when he came in, and he was scoring points. He was looked at as a future world champion.
It took him a while to get the car.
Yeah, but he was always a champion in waiting.
Yeah, Mika Hakkinen was the same. To be fair, Mika Hakkinen was kind of spectacular from the outset, but then sort of he had an accident. He had an accident similar to Massa's and sort of faded away a little bit, but came back strong, very strong.
I think Ron Dennis put half of his life force into Hakkinen when he had that accident, and that's why Ron Dennis always looked so pale.
I'd even put Rosberg in that category. Like when Rosberg got in a Formula One car, you knew there was something special about him. You knew he was going to be Maybe
You
not,
knew he was going to
maybe
win
not a-
races.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, race winner. But that I don't just mean. I know I said slow build champion, but I don't mean. It's like Massa. Massa's a fine example of it. When he came in Sauber.
Sauber, yeah,
And he was a
2001.
bit crashy, but he was fucking fast.
Yeah,
And you knew as soon as he got all that together, he was going to be a good Formula One driver.
yeah. It could have happened to Romain Grosjean, and it hasn't.
Eddie Irvine, I put in the same bracket as that.
Mm.
I just think you can tell the guys that you're just going to fall out of Formula One eventually.
And Ocon's not one of them.
No, not at all.
He scored that fourth place, didn't he? In can't remember. Was it Malaysia? He scored fourth, possibly.
Possibly.
Yeah.
A race in the second half of the season,
Yeah.
anyway. Ocon scored fourth, and he's desperate for that podium now.
Yeah.
That's 2 seasons in a row that Force India have finished fourth. Now they might not be Force India. That might be the last race we've seen of them being Force India. They're not going to be Force One, as was rumoured, because Formula One think that, well, if you abbreviate Force One, that's F1, and you can't have that because we've got that. So
And also
Yeah.
someone else has registered the domain name from under them now, so
Yes.
they can't have that as their website.
no. So there's Force, isn't there? Which what was that?
Something like-
Formula One Racing and Competitive Engineering or something,
Something like
like
that, yeah.
You know,
Not
as an
into
acronym. We did run a competition, didn't we, a while ago? Send in your entries for what you think that. We may have to go back over the entries that people sent in and just suggest those to Bob Fernley and
Yeah.
Otmar Safnoy. Don't send them to what's his name, the Vijay Mallya. Don't send them to him.
No one knows where he is.
Hiding from
Under
the
house
police.
arrest.
Yeah, you can't get email in an underground bunker.
No.
Red Bull next. Ricciardo carrying on the engines are shit.
Carrying on the
What was it?
Was it hydraulic?
this
Just
time.
after he'd had a little bit of a scrape with a wall, I can't help but wonder if he maybe
He
did something
said
himself.
after the race it was the hydraulic problem that caused the
I see.
shunt with the wall, because his pedals weren't as responsive.
Fair enough.
Because it was the hydraulic pedal management that had gone. Because of course everything is by wire. You hit something,
Mm-hmm.
it sends an electronic signal to the hydraulic
Yeah.
systems,
Yeah.
which either speeds up or slows down. And the hydraulics were on the way out, so he went to press the brake and he wasn't getting full braking.
Instant emergency pit stop, which obviously set him back a little bit, and then within a lap he was pulling off.
Yeah, I
the
think he was
stage.
still on the
Yeah.
outlap, wasn't he? And it just
Was
wasn't.
it just the
I
outlap?
think it was.
Yeah.
That I think sums up the reliability for Red Bull this season.
Yeah, if they could get both cars finishing in a decent position, they could have even challenged Ferrari for second, but their reliability issues have been so bad that they haven't been able to, and it was, as you say, epitomised during this race.
Mm-hmm.
One car retiring from being ahead of a Ferrari, ahead of one Ferrari, ahead of one Ferrari, and then leaving the other out there to just sort of
I can't help but feel
manage
all
your car so you don't break down.
all the Renault teams or Renault customers are suffering this year because this was kind of a throwaway year for Renault. Like a development year within the team, and I think that's
Well, this was the first Renault Formula One team, wasn't it?
Yeah.
In a long time. Last year's was badged Renault, but wasn't
it
actually
wasn't
Renault.
Yeah. 13 retirements for Red Bull over the course of the season.
Wow, when you consider that, a potential 40 retirements, that's not good enough.
Yeah,
It's
and
nearly-
you look at the two teams above them. Mercedes 1, Ferrari 1, 2, 3, 4, and a DNS.
See, unless other teams sort the reliability.
Although two of those were Singapore, which
Yeah.
wasn't mechanical.
Yeah, well,
Well, there were bits of mechanicals flying all over the track.
teams sort their reliability problems out. It doesn't matter how quick Mercedes are; they've won anyway. Do you know what I mean? You can't. You like Red Bull cannot, even if they have the fastest car on the grid, can't win a world championship with that reliability.
No, Force India directly below them. Only one retirement all season.
Yeah.
And that wasn't his fault.
No.
No.
Although
Williams, what about Williams?
Williams,
They've had a
2,
couple,
3,
I think.
4, 5.
Is this including
6,
shunts
7.
though?
That's including
Yeah.
including
All
crashes.
retirements.
Including crashes. 7 retirements for Williams.
Yeah.
Red Bull have been the most
Hang on,
unreliable
how many
car
retirements?
for Red Bull?
Yeah,
13.
in the RB13.
Yeah, unlucky for some, I believe they unleashed as
They
their
launched
slogan.
at 13-13.
Yeah.
Boom. I'll have that one. Thank you very much.
Oh yes, yes. Never thought of that.
Deocculting Red Bull.
But yeah, I think Red Bull have actually been the most unreliable car. Um,
You don't think you can see it?
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
I think Sauber have had a few retirements.
Who
Red
cares?
Bull and McLaren hold the record for joint retirements
Is it?
with 13 apiece.
See, Sauber, who cares?
Who'd-
No one, no one,
no one's
exactly.
noticed.
I care if they become Alfa Romeo. I do care then if they become. I've got to be honest.
Sauber have had 10.
Have they?
Yes.
See, I'd like them to become Alfa Romeo because I think if they've got some backing from Ferrari, it'll only improve the team.
They become competitive.
Yeah, Ferrari won't let
I
them be
hope
crap.
so.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I'd hate another Toro Rosso situation where a major team keep one of the teams as just good enough to compete.
I don't think that'll happen with Ferrari money going into Sauber because Sauber have already taken on quite a lot of their own staff.
Yeah, but if
It's going to cost too
But
much
if
to
it's-
fire everyone that Fred Vasseur's just hired.
no, it doesn't matter. But if they're all of a sudden told, well, you can't beat Ferrari, then it doesn't matter how good they are.
I don't think they could make a car that'd be capable of beating Ferrari, not with the people that they have designing the car compared to.
But that's what we're talking about. We're talking about more investment, and what I mean is
Toro Rosso can never beat Red Bull.
Yeah, you don't. And Toro Rosso, it doesn't matter because Toro Rosso is just the junior team. But do we really want the Alfa Romeo badge just become for the Ferrari bitch team?
That's what they would be.
Yeah,
let's be
but,
honest.
Is that even worth getting excited over if that's the case?
But they'd be more competitive than they have been.
It means we'd have 10 competitive teams on the grid.
Yeah, well.
As in, that Alfa Romeo team could finish 10th. They could finish 5th.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah. The battle for the minor placings could hot up a bit. It's still going to, whatever happens next year, is still going to be a 2-tier formula. Possibly 3. It's going to be Mercedes, Red Bull, Ferrari battling for second.
I think.
And I'd like to see the other 7 teams fighting for 4th.
Yeah.
Well, let's push forward then, so we can start talking about the top teams.
Well, next up we got Ferrari. Vettel 3rd, Kimi 4th.
we didn't really talk about Max Verstappen. He had
That's
a very,
true, actually.
He had a very
Because
quiet
nothing
race.
happened.
They are quiet race. Finished 5th.
I think he had a little bit of a
Unusual
go
for
on
Max.
Kimi
Yeah.
at the start, and
Yeah.
that was about it, really.
Actually, sorry, before we got off Red Bull and going into Ferrari, did you hear what Daniel Ricciardo said about Kimi Raikkonen? Very much, in my eyes, putting himself in the shop window.
Saying that it doesn't matter if he finished ahead of him in the championship because in that car he should be way further down the road
Yeah.
than me.
If that wasn't,
It's an interesting comment from half Italian Ricciardo there, isn't it?
yeah, but if that wasn't Ricciardo already laying the groundworks for the contract negotiations that are probably going to begin
Soon.
now.
Yeah. Yeah, because he's still not signed that deal for.
He's not staying
with
at
anyone
Red
for
Bull.
2019,
He's not
has he?
staying at Red Bull.
Just found a radio message that sums up Verstappen's race. Well done, Max. Pretty boring race, but well done. Bad luck. We'll expect a good drawing of the rear of that Ferrari tonight.
That's quite good. That I enjoy that. Is Max's response there? Please tell me.
Yeah, it was really, really boring and a bit frustrating because we were a lot faster than him. I think if we got past him, it would have been a completely different race.
That's racing.
Yeah.
Yep, to beat someone, you've got to get past him.
Yeah.
To finish first you have to finish ahead of second.
Yes.
That's a T-shirt right there.
Still got all the other ones that we haven't got rid of yet. Yeah, Ferrari then 3rd and 4th. Vettel was on his own just about the whole race.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he said afterwards it was very lonely.
Yeah, it was about 20 seconds behind.
Pretty much
and
either side, yeah.
20 seconds in front.
Worried if I was other teams, especially Ferrari.
With what? Sorry.
with the pace of the Mercedes, and the pace. I know because
Well, apparently they bolted some 2018 parts onto their car for Brazil and Abu Dhabi,
well, the thing is,
and they're not going to redesign their car for next year.
well, it's
not a-
things are pretty static, aren't
Yeah,
they?
it's not a total redesign. Mercedes are just going to go, well, you know what? We
Oh,
know what
no,
the faults
no,
were. We're
hang
going
on.
to just develop the
no.
car a bit
Stop
further.
it being a diva, I think, was the
Yeah.
phrase.
Haven't we almost got confirmation that they're going to go with a similar suspension setup to Red Bull, where we're going to see a lot more rake running on the car?
Yes, they said they wanted basically pointing downwards.
Yeah,
A lot of cars were doing that in Abu Dhabi anyway. Ferrari
Yeah.
were doing that.
Ferrari have copied Red Bull, I think, with the way they have the rake.
There was a rumour flying around this weekend that apparently it was Arriva Benny's last race as team principal, but he's not getting fired, he's getting promoted.
To what?
Um,
Chairman Emeritus.
Something on the board of the Fiat Group.
So who would take over as... Not Sergio Marchionne, please.
That has been rumoured,
it
hasn't
has
it?
been
Yeah.
talked about quite a lot this season that Marchionni will take direct control of the team.
No, not micromanagement. That would be ridiculous.
Well, it'd be micromanagement because he's already micromanaging the team that he's not in day-to-day charge of.
I would like to say I fully champion this motion, and I support that decision.
You just like seeing Ferrari implode.
Yeah,
you just want the bloody next instalment of the Ferrari soap opera.
as a group of people that make it our business to sit down for 2 to 3 hours every week and talk about Formula One, I can't think of anything better.
Anything funnier, perhaps?
I mean, in the last 2 years, we've already had the Arriva Benny Hill show.
Thanks for that one, Charlie.
Yeah. But so just quickly, what I was going to say, if the BBC missed something because they were talking about the difference in pace between Ferrari and Mercedes.
The BBC missed something?
Crazy, isn't
You're
it?
having a laugh.
Yeah, crazy. But because they say, oh well, but Vettel won in Brazil. I think, yeah, Vettel won in Brazil. Hamilton came from the fucking back and was hassling Kimi Räikkönen,
Who was only a few seconds behind Vettel.
So that whole 20 odd seconds or wherever they were ahead in the end, 30 seconds, I think that's real, like, raw pace.
Yeah, I think it is too. I think they were let off the leash a little bit as well, with them being the last engines that they were using for.
No, totally. But I mean, that's what happens.
this
But
season.
it just shows you how quick those fucking cars can go. And the thing is, with
They didn't have anything really to lose.
But three engines for next year plays it totally into Mercedes' hands on the reliability stakes.
Yeah, the only reason that Lewis actually used 5 power units was because he binned it in Q1 in Brazil, so they could.
It made sense to stick
So,
on the
so they could. It was
Yeah.
going to start either from the back or the pit lane anyway. So we might as well just stick a new engine in it, turn it up all the way because it'll definitely last 2 races turned up to full,
Yeah.
and let's just run the hell out of it because we don't have to worry about race number 21
Until next year.
Yeah.
when there's more races and less engines. But
7 races per power unit. That's mental.
It's stupid.
and the main support of that has apparently come from Red Bull, who have had.
Well, they've changed their mind, though.
But the vote already went through, and it was Red Bull that.
Christian Horner apparently is pushing for 4 before next season starts.
But he's already shot himself in the foot because.
Do you reckon he got a letter in the post and he was sat in the garage? He opened it and was like,
You know,
"Fucking hell, lads! I ticked the wrong box."
like those who voted for Brexit and then went, oh, I didn't,
It was only a protest vote.
I didn't think it was actually going to happen.
What do you mean Selma voted for this as well?
Practice, didn't I tell you?
There's a second referendum, right? I can vote again.
No, Christian, you fucked it.
Talking of the Ferrari pace or lack of, got a tweet from Daniel Ferris saying, so how does Ferrari explain the 20 seconds Vettel was behind Hamilton? Also, how Kimi was 20 seconds behind Vettel? I'd like to hear their explanation.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, there hasn't been one.
The post race pit interviews were all about the season in as a whole rather than the Abu Dhabi race, mainly because there wasn't a lot to say. But I mean, that's a question that needs answering. They were
Not there.
No, when you consider that Bottas could have taken second place in the championship had anything happened to Vettel. Vettel and Raikkonen didn't look like they were going to trouble Mercedes at any point.
No.
Did they?
No.
I don't think so.
Not really. Once you got round the first couple of corners and the Mercedes were off, I think the two Mercs were over 2 seconds ahead of Vettel by the end of the first lap.
I wonder if Mercedes are going to work on this, being able to follow other cars next year, or whether they're going to keep with the philosophy of it doesn't matter if we're in front.
There have been times when they've had to follow this year, so it would make sense to try and improve that.
I've also come to the conclusion I don't know whether this would be done on purpose, given the the relationship breakdown that Hamilton and Rosberg had, but that car seems to follow itself worse than following the other cars.
The car's obviously been designed as much as possible to screw up anything that's behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't follow well anyway.
And it's only collateral. It's collateral damage if the car that is behind a Mercedes is another Mercedes.
Yeah. Because that was I think you could, just the way that Hamilton was yo-yoing back and forwards towards Bottas, I think that pace that Hamilton usually has over Bottas was still there in that race. And if he'd have managed to get past him, when Bottas locked up, I think he'd have been 6 or 7 seconds down the road in a very short matter of time.
Yeah, quite possibly. I mean, it's another fail of the Yas Marina circuit, in that Hamilton said once you get less than a second behind the car in front, don't know whether this is a Mercedes thing or just all the cars,
you just lose grip.
You got no grip whatsoever, and so you really, really need grip. So I mean, he tried to get close, but he had to back off again.
Tyres have done nothing either, have they? Last year when we talked about the new bigger tyres, there was an awful lot of talks about it being easier to follow other cars because
you're going to have
more bigger contact.
You're going to have much more grip because
and more mechanical grip.
Bollocks.
Hasn't done a thing.
No.
To quote Martin Brundle from earlier on in the season, it's too much of a top surface aero formula. What you need to do is get rid of all the aero on the top surfaces and load the floor with aero so that it's being sucked to the ground rather than being pushed.
And isn't it fucking strange that it's the diffusers that we got rid of?
It's part of that, yeah. That was using everything, but I mean,
that's what I mean. Like, if they'd have got rid of some of the top aero and left the blown diffuser.
There you go. Then there's an interesting point to look out for next year. Who turns up at testing with a really complicated design floor?
There are new floor regulations coming in next year. I've not got what they are in front of me, but they are making changes to what the floor of the car can do.
Yeah,
Are they going to make it less grippy and then just ruin everything even further?
But there's no way of fixing this with our tiny brains, to be perfectly honest. But we need Formula 1 to be fast. Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah.
Formula 1 has to be fast, and essentially they have to be the fastest single-seater race cars that go around circuits in order to be Formula 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise it's not one.
You can't have that without downforce. You cannot go the speed we want them to go around the circuits without downforce.
No, you have to have some sort of surface aero, but I mean, with it's everything at the moment is surface aero with like a flat floor with
but no matter what you do, if we start ripping downforce off the cars to make them race each other better, we're just going.
That's not what I'm talking. If you take the surface aero off, you can load the underfloors to suck the cars to the ground, so that it doesn't matter if you're following closely.
Yeah,
that turbulent air doesn't matter.
But the only thing I'd argue is the teams would already do that as opposed to the surface if the benefits were the same.
If the benefits were the same, yeah.
So
it's got to be a rule and regulations change.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. So even if you change the rules to do that, so it is just like underfloor downforce, then you're still going to end up with slower cars.
Not necessarily.
But if the downforce was there to be had, they'd be doing it anyway because it would be downforce for very little.
It's because they can't load up the floor an awful lot at the moment. That's what it is. Remember Schumacher getting banned for running his plank too close to the ground. That was like 94, 95.
Yeah.
That was an aerodynamic flaw. That was a floor aerodynamic thing, to
Yeah, the car was too low. He shaved 1 millimetre more off the plank than was allowed during the course of a race.
I wonder if simpler wings that were like the old Red Bull Flexi wing would be the way forward to allow that, so you got more downforce at high speed.
Yeah, maybe.
But
Science, people.
Yeah, I just don't have the brain capacity to think about aerodynamics at this time of the year.
It's also air pressures as well. But we don't talk about those.
Oh, God. One thing did continue with Bottas's win. Lewis Hamilton has never won a race in a season after he's become world champion.
No, but he won 2 of his 4 world championships at the last race of the season.
yeah,
But the other 2...
skewed statistic.
Slightly skewed. I mean, he is a full-time world champion,
Yeah.
but there's the 2, so was it 3 races in 2015 and 2 in 2017?
Why don't you go and ask him whether he'd rather have no world championships, but he's won the last race of every season?
He has actually admitted that it's very hard to stay as switched on once he's won the title.
Sure it is. Last day of school. You've done your job.
Your job is win the world championship.
Yeah. And to be perfectly honest, I think drivers out there which are pushing to the last race like that either haven't been in the situation to have been a world champion, or they're just not in the hunt at that present moment.
I mean, I'm the second time I'm going to reference this year in tonight's podcast, but Mansell in '92. He won 5 of the first races, I think it was. The first 5 races.
Yeah.
And then I think he won the British Grand Prix, which was like round 8. The Hungarian Grand Prix, which was like round 10, which is where he won the World Championship. And then he only won like 2 more races for the rest of the season. He's like, whatever, foot off. Don't need to push so hard now. I'm champion.
Yeah, Hamilton was talking about his schedule as well after the race. This week he's he's doing testing. Then he's going to Malaysia, presumably to keep Petronas happy.
Yeah.
Then he's going to Germany. He's all over the place. So if he wanted to coast, take it easy on Sunday. Busy few days ahead.
Are we going to see a complete winter of him turning up with the trophy everywhere once the
He says he's going
presentation's been
skiing. He's going skiing at some point.
In Colorado.
I think they're taking the foot off the gas because it can only go to qualifying. I think he lost a tenth or 2 in qualifying than he probably should have done. But in the race, he wasn't taking it easy in the race. He was in second, got close enough to the point where he might be able to have a go, and then Aero fucked him up trying to have a go. It's not like he wasn't trying to win that race.
Yeah.
True.
So
Again, it's the car that doesn't follow. Good win for Bottas, though.
Oh yeah, I mean, he needed that. None of us predicted it. Let's be honest.
No.
I think the thing is as well.
The closest to a prediction was I said last week Mercedes will strategise the win for him if Vettel falls off.
Yeah.
I don't think they strategised the win for him though.
But no, they didn't strategise the win. He just
happened.
Qualified fastest, got away fastest. Couldn't be
Qualifying
overtaken.
lap was incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was incredible, that qualifying lap.
Mortified as well. It was 11-1. I almost took money on him.
Ooh.
Mortified.
You want to keep track of your bets during a full season just to see how far up or down you are.
I know.
Why did I even bother using the word up?
Do you know? No. Bottas has won me a few quid over the year.
But who's lost it for you?
Alonso. Yeah.
And McLaren.
Yeah. But that's the thing about gambling. You've got to take risks.
Calculated risks.
Somebody want to tell
I
us?
didn't calculate it. If I put a tenner down, I get £1,000 back. I calculated that.
You also lost £10.
Yeah, for those of you that don't understand
Every
betting,
other week.
for those of you that don't understand betting, when Lee puts a tenner on Alonso to get on the podium at 20-1, that means he loses a tenner.
Absolutely.
We'll do a full season review next week.
Yeah.
Because we're desperately short for things to talk about unless somebody else retires. We all remember
Another
that
retirement, or there could be team announcements.
Sauber and Williams might decide
Exactly.
what they're doing.
Oh yeah,
they might merge.
yeah. They'll be because we did get a few emails, tweets, and messages over the course of the last few days saying, "What are your plans for over the winter? Please stay podcasting." Well, we aim to.
We have done, haven't we, for the last 2 years?
Yeah.
We've podcasted right the way through the winter.
So Kill Your Neck is Johnny Come Lately. Like, well, we know what to do.
Yeah, we've done it before.
Yeah, I mean, podcasts, all right. To be fair,
Me and Lee have managed it when Chris and Dan couldn't. After Rosberg's retirement, we had to draft Sean Kelly in.
Yeah.
yeah, we were not well.
And he was sick.
Yeah,
Not ill, just Lee was just generally sick.
fair enough. But the
Like Cool Street sick. Like sick.
no. But podcasts usually what are we usually about 2 hours, 2.5 hours?
Yeah, it'll be a bit shorter.
Yeah,
over the
you
winter,
might notice them getting a little bit shorter over the winter, but
with more tangents.
But that means that gives you more time to listen to Must See Audio, which is my other podcast.
oh, shameless.
Utterly. So, who do we think hero and villain of the race were?
Well, I said that Alonso would be a hero, and he kind of was. He overtook Massa and left him for dead completely in a McLaren Honda in their last race together as McLaren Honda.
Do you think that this season, Honda's like fucking awful return to Formula One have almost shown how good Fernando Alonso is more than being in a half decent Ferrari? For some reason,
Yeah, because when you nearly win in a car that might be able to win, then you're the nearly man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're performing brilliantly in a car that should be at the back, then you're a hero.
Yeah. I just think some of his performances have shown that he just might be like head and shoulders above the rest of the grid.
I think the only this is the risk of repeating myself here. The only two drivers I think who could have maybe sat in that McLaren and done a similar job this year would have been Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel. I don't think any other driver on the grid could have done that job.
I don't think either Lewis Hamilton or Vettel could have done the same job because I don't think they have the mental.
They don't have the patience.
capacity.
The grit.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at Vettel in Azerbaijan when he got stroppy. He'd have got very stroppy with that car.
Yeah, he would have done.
Let's not fool ourselves here. That McLaren, awfuled its way to making Jenson Button quit Formula One because he had options open for himself,
and he didn't
but
take
he
them.
just didn't want to do it. And it's not like he didn't have another couple of years of competitive driving in him. He left Formula One because he was sick of being at the back of the grid in that car. But yeah, Alonso
and Fernando Alonso
has managed to be the most fucking motivated person in
Has
the
anyone
world.
seen the McLaren videos of what your favourite moments were from this year? And it's various people from the team talking about their favourite moments from 2017.
I'd imagine his favourite moment was crossing the line in this race.
No, his favourite moment of 2017 was Indianapolis because he was competitive. I led the race and I was fighting for the
Is
front
that
row.
what he said?
Yeah.
Get in there.
I led the race and I was fighting and I was fighting for the front row of the grid.
Yeah.
It was like that for me was the best moment of 2017. Nothing to do with Formula One.
I understand why.
Yeah, Jonathan Neal, however.
Well, he was having his seat peed in at the time.
That's
yes,
true.
exactly. Yeah, Jonathan Neal, the McLaren team boss, he was very McLaren, and he said that his favourite moment of 2017 was when Stoffel Van Dorn started demanding more of the team. Okay, thanks for that one, Jonathan.
Right. Well, talking of McLaren or ex-McLaren, Martin Whitmarsh has turned up.
In Formula E, apparently.
Yes,
Smooth.
on the Global Formula E committee
That's a thing.
that's headed by Alan Prost.
Are we still doing heroes and villains for the rest of the race, or not?
We have kind of forgotten about that.
I kind of over segued that, didn't I?
Oops.
Yeah, the villain is obviously Hulkenberg for the
yes.
corner cut.
Yeah, it's
Renault and Hulkenberg, I
Yeah.
would say.
I think I'd say Renault in general. Hulkenberg for cutting the corner. Whoever was on the wheel gun that didn't hold the trigger down long enough.
Yeah.
Not even inviting Joe Poe to the team photograph.
Yeah. his sixth place.
Yeah.
That's what got him it.
And Palmer is still a Renault driver. Well, Will Palmer. He's in Renault Euro Cup. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, hero for me. I'm sort of split between Massa for a bloody good farewell performance
Yeah. It's we're not going to be talking about Massa next year. It's a bit odd, isn't it?
at the moment.
For now.
Yeah. Split between Massa, Fernando for what he did, and Bottas for being dominant from Q3 onwards.
But yeah, I mean, brilliant performance from Valtteri Bottas.
I think Bottas.
I hope he has a strong season next year.
I think he might be stronger than he is, but I don't think. Mind you, we said this about Rosberg, didn't we? And look what happened. But I just don't think he's going to be able to hassle Hamilton. The thing is, I think Rosberg could have had the Rosberg Championship if Rosberg hadn't already won it, because Lewis has clearly clearly learnt so much from that season. Do you know what I mean?
Don't forget that car, the W08, it was designed with Lewis and Rosberg in mind.
Yeah.
Bottas wasn't there until...
No, but I just think clean, take the car out of it, I think Hamilton has 2 or 3 tenths on Rosberg on an average day. And I just think, over a season, over Bottas, I don't think Bottas is the same class of driver to beat Hamilton, because I don't think he's the same class of driver as Rosberg.
Sorry, I'm just going to interject here and just say, I was just checking for Formula 1 news, just in case anything was breaking on a Monday night, and I've just seen the best tweet, which it doesn't say that it's team radio, but it sounds like it's team radio. Alonso, I did some donuts practice for next year. Team radio. Yes, mate, I saw.
Yeah, it looks like Donuts at Abu Dhabi is now a real thing.
Which it should
be. It's going to be encouraged. End of the season, burn your engine out, don't matter.
Yeah, it's the only exciting thing that happened, really, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Even that logo unveil at the end was a bit weird.
That was awkward.
It was a bit...
Yes, now wear a hat with the new logo on. No,
nobody wanted it.
No.
Although Martin Brundle wanted his back because he had serial number 2 and he was going to auction it off for charity.
Does that man get anything that he doesn't give auction off for charity?
I think that's quite admirable that he does that, though.
It's
Yeah.
admirable.
I mean,
but I wouldn't buy him a Christmas present.
He'll turn up on eBay.
going for about 25 times what you paid for it.
Yeah.
Right then, so as I was saying, Martin Whitmarsh turned up on the Global Committee of Formula E.
Alongside Alain Prost.
Yeah, who was running it. And what was going on with his nose this weekend? Prost.
Alain Prost?
Yeah, Prost, not Whitmarsh.
He ran into a bathroom door, didn't he?
Into the bathroom.
Yeah, but he was stood in the kitchen at the time.
Well, this shows one of two things. Either he did walk into a door, or spousal abuse.
Niki Lauda also
Niki Lauda had a similar mark on
a
his
big
nose.
scar down his nose. A new one.
I think they did. I think they headbutted each other.
I actually...
The Niki Lauda monologue that I went on as I was leaving your flight yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Last week, I had to get up and see to my son. It was stupid o'clock in the morning. It was about 3 o'clock, and I got up and I didn't want to wake Laura up because she was still asleep. Went to the next room, changed the baby, walked out.
What for?
What?
Traded him in.
Put him on eBay.
For a nice ethnically coloured one, I just wanted to be a bit more hip and trendy. So I walked back through the hallway, forgetting I'd shut the bedroom door, and walked clean into it. And not just like a stub of the toe, like full on forehead into the door.
So you can sympathise with Alain Prost.
Yes, but what I'm saying is I have a much smaller nose than Alain Prost, so I understand why he went nose first.
Yeah. Also, his nose has been broken for about 40 years now, isn't it?
Probably by Senna.
I think it may have even been broken before Senna turned up in Formula 1.
Well, yeah, every time he put his visor down, he trapped it.
Well, no, he did have his nose put out of joint by Ayrton Senna, let's be honest. But
doesn't take much, there's a lot of it there. Talking louder as well, one thing that we didn't put on the running order that I'd forgotten about, he resigned from his commentary position live on air on RTL yesterday, straight after the race.
yeah, he's been the German expert for RTL, hasn't he, for
years.
20 years, I think it is.
Since the Schumacher days.
Yeah. And just resigned live on air and then walked off and left his co-anchor who's been with him for those 20 years to be like,
Oh, he doesn't give 2 fucks, does he?
No.
No, not at all. No. He had enough. He was gone.
So, the new logo reveal. It was a little bit cringeworthy on the podium. You can see why they wanted to do that, because it was going to be a decent-sized audience.
A big announcement
rather
as well.
than putting a press release out sometime over the winter.
But why do it at all? Why not do it when you launch the 2018 season?
Because you do it at the end of 2017 to start building suspense. And it's got, to be honest, it's got people talking, and it has split opinion completely. I, for one, think it's all right. I don't mind.
It's all right. And do you know what? It's a fucking logo.
Yeah, I don't mind it. It's all right. It's pretty good.
I'm not fussed on it, but it is just a logo. It's not something you talk about, really, is it? It's strange that they tried to make it a talking point, because it's not that exciting, really.
Is it going to affect the racing?
Nah.
Unlikely.
No. I often get the feeling as well when things like this happen, and I've got a disdain for most people that post comments on the internet. The serial complainers that are just like waiting with bated breath to be angry about something.
Yeah.
I call it Twitter usually.
YouTube comments.
Yeah. And
ESPN.
Yeah, and you think to yourself, like, I wonder how many of these people which are fucking outraged that the old logo is gone, they brought in with this new shit, actually watch Formula One. I bet there's a good 25 to 30% of those people don't even watch the racing. They've just seen something to be angry about.
Yeah.
And that's what they put their fucking poisonous energy into that day.
Yeah. There's calls, isn't there? People saying that it's destroying the tradition of Formula One. It's like, well, no, not really. You've got to move with the times.
Fuck tradition of Formula One. It's an evolving sport.
Paul, did you say something about Bernie perhaps owning the logo
There
before?
were rumours going round. I can't find any definitive sources on this, but there were rumours going round, and again, this could just be Twitter speculation, that Bernie actually still held the rights to the logo that everyone knows himself, and he was charging too much for continued use.
Maybe. I mean,
it's the kind of thing that he'd do because
It
he
is.
exists purely to make money.
it is, but I'd have thought that would be the commercial rights holders. You'd think that would come with it.
I mean, if contracts were signed 20-something years ago when that logo was put in place.
I think it's more like it or not, Formula One is going to become a more modern sport. Like, people are just going to have to deal with this. I think it's been the same. Like, I've said this many times. I think it's been the same for far too long. Don't get me wrong. Any change is worrying because what Formula One might end up being might not be your cup of tea.
Yeah.
The problem is that F1 has been artificially held back for that long with regard to fan engagement and new technologies that don't involve the cars.
That's why we love people like you listening to our podcast.
Yeah. Any changes? That's not the way it's done. Well, the way that everything's been done before was by somebody who started running it as a middle-aged man and carried on until he's an old man and doesn't want to change because he's of the generation of if it ain't broke, why fix it? And what's the point in trying to improve something that I think's perfect?
Yeah, and realistically as well.
Like, you get there was a story in one of the local papers that cropped up on the internet the other week. Let me finish this. It's a couple in their 80s, and they finally got rid of all their kitchen implements that they had since 1950 odd. Bernie's of that generation.
Kitchen stuff.
Strange what makes the local papers.
Oh yeah,
but. Like, for anyone that's listened to this podcast, they should really, really be on board with change as far as Formula One going forward, because whether they realise it or not, they are part of the change of the sport, because instead of listening to the BBC podcast or watching extra stuff on the Formula One channel, they're choosing to download and listen to what you consider new media and a new way of interacting with the sport that you enjoy.
Yeah.
So even just by downloading the podcast, you're part of the future of Formula One.
Yeah.
And the way everything's going without even fucking realising it. So maybe you might not realise it, but you're not stuck in the past anyway. So just embrace the future.
Yeah.
You've got to embrace changes. You don't have to like all of them. You don't have to agree with them. But I mean, vote with your eyes and your feet, basically. If you don't
And your
like
ears.
and your ears, if you don't like what you're watching, you've got to let the authorities, relevant authorities know.
But not before it's been done.
Yeah, exactly. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
You've got to give it all a chance.
Best tweet that we've had about the logo has come from Entitled Millennial.
Oh,
Hang on,
One
is
of
that
the
a
many.
Twitter handle?
That is his Twitter name. It's at Matt Rafter, but he calls himself
Entitled Millennial. I
Good
like
Lord.
that.
Yeah.
And for an entitled millennial, he's making sense. He tweeted to us earlier, never understand why people judge logos on the reveal. The point of them is not to look cool or nice, it's about positive brand association. Give it a few years to measure its effectiveness.
Well, yeah, and it's a more recognisable logo,
Yeah.
I think. From afar, it's more, it will become a very recognisable, very recognisable logo as part of Formula One moving forward into whatever it becomes.
No one cared back in the 90s when all of a sudden remember the old
The old FIA logo.
the old splash screen.
Yeah.
And then they replaced it with the swirly coloured lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody cared about that. And do you know why no one cared about that? Because there was no social media to cry about everything on.
I've got to admit, I cared about it the first time they showed it, because I didn't realise that was the 5-minute alert, because it was 4 a.m, it was an Australian Grand Prix, and I was making myself a coffee, and I was listening out for the old 5-minute music. That didn't happen. I came through after having missed the formation lap and the start.
Toss.
dear.
You were just waiting for
You
the
knew what
guitar lick.
time it was going to be at, though.
Yeah.
It was 4 a.m, I was in the kitchen, I wasn't thinking.
To be fair, Sean's right, we had clocks and watches.
Yeah, the
and
time
just the
existed
tip principle of time.
No, because
Four guitar licks.
because I'm that old, I was expecting a sundial, but it was 4 a.m. in March, so the sundial had stopped. I had to get that in before you did.
Trying to work out when lights out is through the fucking mile long count calendar.
Yeah. Let me just read the stars.
If I don't have my old Moe's almanac, I don't know when I am.
Fucking hell, it's 12 past turkey.
The only bad thing to come out of the logo was the design company's explanation of it.
They used words.
They just used a typical design company's wording.
You're gonna break me here, aren't you? Cause
I'm just going to avoid using the words wanky.
Yeah, because I'm a strong believer in things like that. You can fix being offended by them by not reading them, but you're going to read it to us, aren't you?
No, I'm not.
Go on.
No,
hit me with it.
No, I can't.
Just. I'll tell you what. Put the link up on the Facebook page.
That is, I will.
Then it's up to the listeners whether or not they
people
want to
who
listen
want
to a
to find
designer go
That's
on about
true.
it.
Yeah. Just want to thank Adam Smith for sending the link through to an article that includes all the text.
Right.
There is quite a lot of other stuff in there as well, because they'll come up with same design companies come up with new fonts for the graphics, and next year there's going to be a whole new graphics package that's coordinated between F1, F2, and what will still be GP3 next year before it becomes F3 in 2019.
Yeah, because it's merging with the
when it merges with the
European
European Formula 3.
to become International Formula 3.
Yes. So personally, I think that's good because we watch MotoGP,
Yeah.
and that's just coordinated graphics through the whole 3 categories.
Yeah.
And
And you get the same sort of package, don't you, where Moto 3 starts 2-3 hours earlier, then Moto 2 is on like an hour earlier,
yeah,
and then you get the big event of the MotoGP race.
yeah, and it all works. And I think Liberty have taken quite a lot from Dorna that own the rights to MotoGP, and they've realised that coordinated branding is the way to do it, and
Absolutely.
get people involved for the whole day.
I hope they do more with the graphics package that next year because.
Well, they're going to, yeah.
Well, but one thing I've noticed when we watched Indianapolis this year was just how good it is having that constant stream of information down the bottom of the screen.
Yeah,
You know, it's well out of the way, so it's not in your face. It's not distracting for what you're doing. But if you're interested enough to know what lap times everyone's putting in and what the gaps are between the cars, you don't need to wait for the producer to decide to show you. You just watch down there for a couple of minutes, and sooner or later the information that you're after comes up.
Yeah.
And
that's been something that's been prevalent in IndyCar for years, because I remember when Williams announced that Jacques Villeneuve was going to be driving for them in '96. I watched an IndyCar race with my stepdad on Eurosport to just see how good this Jacques Villeneuve was, and he was rubbish.
Yeah.
I think he finished something like 17th I was like, well, he's going to drive for Williams, really?
Yeah, but it was 17th out of 2,000 cars.
Yeah, well, it was, yeah, but I mean, even then they had the streaming. The point was they had the streaming information across the bottom of the screen.
This is why I have hopes for whatever Liberty want to do with Formula One, is because America, and we've said this 100 times before, do sport better than Europe.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
You just watch any American sports coverage.
Hit me with adverts. Leave picture in picture there.
Yeah.
I can handle that.
Yeah, you watch any American sports coverage and you'll get stats, you'll get information on what's going on.
I don't want adverts during the race, though.
If it meant free to air, and we had picture in picture, so your adverts were on, but you could still watch what was going on.
Yeah.
Then I'm fucking all down for that. If it takes it off Sky and gets it into more people's eyes.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm conflicted with that. There's also a big thing coming up, isn't there, with TV rights as well? Because RTL have got free to air in Germany, which is ending next year, and Channel 4's deal to show some free to air races in the UK ends next year.
And it'll just be the British Grand Prix that's left as a free-to-air race, because that's one of the protected sporting events in the UK.
Yeah, that's it.
I think you'll have, like we were saying before, through some means, and I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up, like we were talking a couple of episodes ago, being an Amazon or Netflix thing. But this is where things are going. And did anyone catch the like the build-up thing where they were talking about the future Formula One and where it's going? There was interviews with Kerry and Braun and Martin Brundle. I can't help but feel that when Martin Brundle turned around and said, and we have to think about the future of Formula One and future fans which watch sport and entertainment completely differently and watch it when they're ready to watch in their own time. I can't help but think he hasn't just shit that comment out, and he's privy to a lot more of what Formula One's future ideas are.
Yeah,
I'm sure a lot of people closer to Formula One, FOM, if you will, people who run the sport now, will know what's going on, but will be contractually obliged not to be able to say anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Chase Carey and Sean Bratches have been dropping hints about digital offerings from next season, extra content, live and not live.
Yeah,
which sounds interesting. Can we have a job?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want an official sweary podcast.
Yeah, everyone needs YouTube presence nowadays. Get us on that.
Just make sure the comments aren't enabled.
No, leave it.
And of course, we are trying to do a few more video things because everybody's competing to do more. Let's be honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We'll have a crack at video over the winter. Now I've actually got some lights and backdrops and things.
Well, there we go.
I'd like to personally thank one of my clients for paying for that.
Thank you, client.
Yeah, I'm using it for work, but I can also use it for fun. Right, tyre test this week.
There is, getting back to things that are happening on track, which is, let's be honest, not an awful lot now for the rest of the year.
Yes, this will be the last time F1 cars go on track in 2017.
And it's tomorrow.
Tomorrow and
Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yeah.
Because don't forget, people can listen to this whenever they want.
Does anybody else think it's weird that if Williams are looking at signing Kubica, who's basically got a broken hand, that he's only got a half a day test?
Two half days. Yeah.
Oh, is he on both days?
Yes.
Sorry, I thought
Tuesday for Williams is Kubica and Stroll.
And then Wednesday, it's Sirotkin and Kubica.
Right.
I think this is interesting, having him do back-to-back days, because it'll be able to... We know he can do the race distance. We saw that in Hungary. But we don't know how well he recovers, whether he needs like a week's worth of physio or something after he's done that. So point. Having him in the car 2 days in a row, we'll learn a bit more about whether or not he can do a race weekend or back-to-back races.
Because Tuesday will be effectively that will give them the opportunity for 2 practice sessions.
Yeah.
And then Wednesday, FP3 quali simulation.
I think it's amazing, I can't believe that when you look at how long we were talking, where this whole Qubits has pushed to come back to Formula One, I can't believe it looks like it's actually going to come off.
What, the hand?
Well,
Sorry. You really
Sean,
hope
well
not.
integrated into the 3 legs, 4 wheels way of joking.
I would just like to point out it was Lee that introduced me and Sean to each other. Does it show?
There's quite a few other interesting drives happening. If we just go through Tuesdays, let's to start with.
Yeah, Tuesday, Lewis is in the Mercedes, Kim is in the Ferrari.
That's fairly
not
standard.
interesting.
Yeah.
Danny Rick's in the Red Bull. In the Force India, they appear to have completely dispensed with Alfonso Celis now, and they have brought in, I've got to say it properly because I might get shot, Nikita Mazepin and all his money.
Well, all his
Yes.
dad's money.
Yes,
Stroll.
I had to Google him because I wasn't super up on him, and his dad has $7.7 billion in the bank.
He is
Yeah.
in the Forbes
He is,
100
yeah.
richest people on the planet list.
Yeah.
I think he's one of the richest Russians. I don't know if he's one of the richest people, but
If you've got 7.7 billion,
it's
you're
all
going
right,
to be
it's
up
not
there.
bad going.
Yeah, he makes Bernie look poor.
Yeah, he's all his money is in chemicals as well, so exciting times there.
Yeah, and his name, his son's name, who's testing for Nikita.
Nikita,
Yeah,
yes.
which is the name of a missile in Metal Gear Solid. If anybody ever played that.
And an Elton John song.
it's
Yes.
also a girl's name.
It is slightly a lady's name.
No, it is actually a bloke's name. It's just that nobody actually noticed that Elton John was singing about a bloke at the time. How did you miss this?
Is it not? Hang on, Japanese. There are a lot of Japanese girls called Nikita. Are there not?
Yeah, but in Russia it's a bloke's name.
Well, there you go. So Nikita Mazepin then is testing in the Force India.
Yeah, Renault have got Hulk. Toro Rosso have got Sean Galayle
Again, he's probably paid for it.
with chicken money.
With chicken money, yes.
Indonesian KFC.
His dad
Right.
owns the Indonesian KFC franchise.
Which is not KFC. It's called something
No,
completely different.
I think
it
it
says
is called
KFC on the
KFC.
car.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. I thought it had a completely different name.
Are you thinking of Burger King in Australia?
No, that's
That's
Hungry
Hungry
Jack's. Yeah.
It's
Really?
yeah.
There was copyright.
Wow.
Someone else already had one. and-
It probably says KFC and then in Indonesian it says Kentucky, whatever the Indonesian is for fried and whatever the Indonesian is for chicken.
Perhaps, maybe.
Um,
But looking down the list a bit further, Grosjean in the Haas. And
and
then the interesting ones.
McLaren, Fernando and Oliver Turvey, that young driver.
Oliver Turvey. Still going in the McLaren young driver program?
Is it
Oh,
just
he must
program
be-
at this point?
He must be 30 at
He
least.
must be 30, mustn't he?
Yeah, I reckon he's going to be about 32, Oliver Turvey.
Yeah.
I am
He's just not
looking
a
this up
name
now.
that's really
He
going
is
anywhere.
he is
Yeah.
30.
He's 30
He-
now.
his birthday is April 1st. He was 30 this year.
Yeah.
So,
But they know he's a driver that can provide them with feedback, much like Pedro de la Rosa. In that he's got the experience, maybe not racing experience, but he's got the experience of being in and around the team so much that he knows.
well, he's got plenty of racing experience in just about every other series going on the planet.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like the ultimate driver for hire. In the last 3 years, he's done European Le Mans Series, WEC, Formula E, Super GT.
Yeah, he's
But
done
they-
everything.
Not full seasons, just little stints in each.
But the
Yeah.
other driver they've got in tomorrow is Alonso. That's
Yes.
experience.
It's
is it not?
Alonso and Turvey. Yeah, which is it's a bit of a strange mix, isn't it?
If you want experience, take it from Alonso. Get Lando Norris in instead.
I mean,
you would
it's a-
think.
Yeah, but Oliver Turvey will be spending so much time in McLaren's simulator.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, they'll give him a go in the car to still see. It may even be just to see, tell us how dissimilar the car is from the simulator.
I mean, Oliver Turvey's got a race suit that is entirely made of pixels by now.
Can we start calling him Tron?
Yeah, but look who's in the Sauber for Tuesday's test.
Marcus Ericsson.
Marcus Ericsson. Now, surely, if you weren't thinking of keeping him on, you wouldn't put him in the car.
And
Especially when you see who's in the Sauber on Wednesday.
somebody who we think they are putting in the car, which is Charles Leclerc.
Yeah, so is that Sauber's preferred lineup?
Sorry, carry on. I just thought something.
Yeah, it's no. Go on, Lee.
Go on.
Interject.
Do you think Do you think like Oliver Turvey and who was the other guy, Gary Paffett?
Yeah.
I think they
yes.
like walk around the McLaren Technology Centre like ghouls. And it's if you're a young driver in McLaren and you look at one too long, you're just a reserve driver for the rest of your life.
Come play with us.
Oliver Turvey strikes fear into the heart of Lando Norris.
Red car! Red car!
Gary Paffett was he's been shipped off with Mercedes, hasn't he? And he now occasionally turns up at Williams.
Yeah, I think he's been he's run their simulator a couple of times this
I
season.
think last I
Yeah.
saw he was having a massive crash in DTM.
Ooh.
Everyone has a massive crash in DTM.
I think, but
usually
even
because
by DTM standards, I think it was fairly spectacular. I seem
they
to
usually leave
recall.
fire engines on the track. Yeah, Marcus Ericsson. Now, Sean, you found a
Yeah.
couple of tweets from him earlier.
Yeah,
It
he
sounded
tweeted-
terminal.
Yeah, it was
What?
quite. It sounded a bit sort of, look at me, please hire me again, kind
Really?
of thing. I can't remember exactly what he said, but it was something along the lines of, I've had a great 2017. Thank you for all the tea.
Who's this?
Ericsson.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got the tweets up here. I feel I still have unfinished business in F1 and hope to be back on the grid next year to show that. Hashtag ME9.
Right, okay. But Sauber was
Knowing
just
you,
saying that.
knowing
Yeah, Sauber
ME9.
replied and was like, yeah, cheers.
No.
It was quite a dismissive reply from Sauber, wasn't it?
It was a bit, yeah.
Thanks so long and thanks for all the
cheers,
shoes.
Marcus. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to find its
And
content.
in a puff of logic, Marcus Ericsson was gone.
That's it. In a puff of rational thought.
Show additional replies, including those that may contain offensive content.
Oh,
Always.
yeah, hang on. Let's have a look at this.
Always.
Whilst you're doing that, I will just have a look through the Wednesday schedule for testing. Charles Leclerc, as I've just said, is in the Sauber after Marcus Ericsson on the Tuesday. But then
If they can actually crowbar him out of the car because he'll be hanging on by his finger.
absolutely, yeah.
Mine.
McLaren do go for youth on Wednesday after
Yeah.
going all the experience. On Wednesday they go for Van Dorn and Norris. Lando Norris does go in the car.
Cool.
Be interesting to see how he does against Stoffel.
Yes, very.
Seeing as Lando did blow pretty much everybody away in the Hungarian test.
Including Fernando Alonso's qualifying time.
Exactly, yeah. Here's somebody I've never heard of before in the Haas. Aryan Maini, or Maini. Arjun Maini.
Yes, he is 19, I think. I did look him up very quickly. 19, Indian.
Yep.
Couldn't tell you much else about him.
Fair enough. To be
So
honest with you, I've not heard of
They were playing
Aryan
with
before.
what's his face, Ferrucci, a while back, weren't they?
Yeah,
They've
but
obviously got bored of him.
I think
because he
they've
wasn't very
realised
good.
he's shit and looks like Neil Goldman.
So he'll be sharing the Haas on Wednesday with Kevin Magnussen. Toro Rosso go with their race lineup on Wednesday of Hartley and Gasly. Renault go with Sainz. Williams, you've already spoken about, Sorokin and Kubica. Force India have Perez and Ocon in the car, and then it's fairly boring and straightforward up from there. Red Bull have Verstappen, Ferrari have Vettel, and Mercedes use Bottas.
Yeah, I'm just looking up.
Have you found some interesting-
Maini. He's been 2 years in European Formula 3
Okay.
and 2 years in GP3. Although his first year in GP3 overlapped with his Formula 3 races. He was 9th in this year's GP3 championship, which of course was won by George Russell.
Yes.
Tellingly, didn't do the last 2 races in Abu Dhabi.
For any particular reason?
Doesn't say.
Well, fair enough.
But it's just very bizarre that he didn't drive there in the series that he's been in all season, and now he's driving it in a Formula 1 car.
Yeah, and I find it odd that George Russell isn't used by Mercedes in this tyre test as well. I mean, I know he's done a couple of FP1s for Force India.
He's had a very busy weekend, hasn't he? Because he had
GP3.
the FP1 and did GP3.
Basically, got out the out the Formula 1 car at the end of FP1 and straight into the GP3 car for qualifying.
Yeah. Put it on pole.
Yeah.
And did he win the race?
Don't think he did. I think he was 3rd.
Let's just have
I
a
did
look.
see
Fourth.
he was the
Fourth.
guest on the BBC's preview podcast.
Yeah.
And he turned around and said that all his energy was going into his test with Force India because he was already champion in that series. He said it doesn't make. He said I know I can get in that car and drive it. It doesn't make sense me building up towards that race when I've already won the championship. He said I'm now looking past that series. So.
Which is good.
I think that's fair enough.
That's fair enough. 'Cause, I mean, he won the GP3 title in Jerez at the extra GP2 and GP3 event that they put on last month,
Mm-hmm.
and he's proved that he's definitely a driver that's on the way up.
Yeah.
And I think we'll see him in pre-season testing.
I do, yeah. I think he'll get some FP1s. I think between him and Lando Norris, I think we've got a bright, like, British few stars.
Yeah. Well, there were rumours that they were going to be teammates at Prima for...
Is that not happening now?
No, Lando Norris has signed for Carlin with...
So Carlin again will have a car that looks like a McLaren, just like they did when Stoffel was driving for them.
Yeah, and is it Sergio Sette Camara is
going to be Lando's teammate.
It probably works well for them not being in the same team.
Yeah, it might work out better.
I can't see both of them. One of them will lose, obviously. But
yeah.
I mean, big time.
I don't think it's been confirmed that George Russell will drive in F2 next year, although it's probably very likely, isn't it?
Oh, no, he is
imagine
driving F2.
Oh, sorry, I'll tell you why. Stoffel drove for ART.
I don't know who thought, but he said in the interview that he was driving an F2 next year.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I got that wrong. Stoffel drove for ART when he won F2. I did in my head it was Carlin for some reason.
If McLaren had a better, if McLaren still had a Honda engine, he'd be better off driving a HGV this next year.
I mean, George Russell's saying that he's ready to race in Formula 1 next year, but nah.
Any more of your expert analysis there?
Nah, I'm quoting Autosport on this. He is getting an F2 drive, but no one's entirely sure who with.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. But nothing's been actually confirmed then.
Not that I can tell at the moment.
I think he's confirmed he will be in it.
So there will be a Mercedes-looking Prima probably next year.
Somewhere, yeah.
Someone will have a Mercedes-looking car. Oh no, he's going to be with ART.
Oh, he is going to ART. That's who he was driving with in GP3.
Yes. That news only came out about an hour ago.
Well, there we go.
Oh, we have news on a Monday.
News on a Monday. George Russell is driving for ART, although you probably already knew that if you're listening to this.
Yeah, there's 5 drivers confirmed for F2 next year so far. The 2 we've already talked about, Norris and Sette Camara. And Prima will be Sean Gelael and Nick De Vries.
Okay. Fair enough.
So look, half like a Red Bull, half like a chicken, and half like a Renault. Is it McLaren that own Nick De Vries?
Yeah, McLaren and
Nick
De Vries is McLaren, isn't he? They very nearly distanced themselves from him after his escapade in Monza when he decided he was going to push all of the race leaders off the circuit.
The big question for F2 next year, and we keep asking this every season, are we going to see Johnny Cecotto back yet again, causing more crashes? Because F2 or GP2 isn't the same without crashy Cecotto.
Well, if Roberto Meri can turn up in Formula 2, so can Johnny Cecotto.
I can't remember a year since Sky took over Formula 1 and it was dead easy to watch Formula 2 or GP2. I can't remember watching any less of it than I have this year. I've watched so little.
I've watched very little of it this year. I watched almost all of it the year Stoffel won the championship. But yeah, I'm not watched an awful lot since.
Interest this year because we've got such a good British interest in it. You know, and that's probably going to have some sort of impact.
What, there's a McLaren driver from Somerset in there? You'll be drooling over the TV every week.
Yeah, but do you know what the funny thing is? Everything says I should like him more than George Russell, but I think I like George Russell more.
That does come as a surprise.
Yeah.
I think that's about it for all the news and related stories.
Yeah, pretty much.
Don't think we've got anything else, unless anything else has broken in the last hour.
No.
Quickly checking the interwebs.
People's wit, maybe.
No, that's it.
Another Honda engine.
That's very
Renault
likely.
engine's probably fallen to bits.
And Marcus Ericsson still is waiting to complete a lap. Play some guitar, Chris.
Total shunt. Everybody, it's a sad total shunt. Formula 1's over for 2017. 119 days till we race again. Look out. Let's play total shunt.
I like the major chord to finish. It gives us all hope. Who sent this week's in?
This one was sent in by Wayne Barry Hines.
Wayne, who won the Guy Martin competition.
I
Wonderful.
I'm picking up the prizes tomorrow, by the way.
I hope I pronounce your name right, Barry, and you're not that really weird guy that blocked me for pronouncing his name wrong.
Different podcast.
A different podcast, but I imagine he listens to this one.
If he found you personally on Facebook, he could follow you here.
Well, no, but I think I've got lots of crossover listeners, so I'm kind of thinking that he probably came from here to to listen to thing. So if you are listening, like, you're a fucking genius, because you blocked me on Facebook. I couldn't read your fucking name, you dopey cunt. Right. So if anyone wants to shout at me for things, shout at me on Twitter. Don't find where I share my fucking pictures of my son to other people. That's just fucking weird. Right. Moving on.
On with Total Shunt.
I have been around since 1907.
The Isle of Man
I was
TT
going to say,
races.
TT is all I've got there.
I was first introduced to motor racing in the 1920s.
Okay.
Okay, someone that's been around a long time, then someone like Alfa Romeo or Peugeot.
Someone or something, some company.
Well, yeah, Peugeot have actually been around for a lot longer. I think Peugeot were making bicycles in the late 19th century.
Yeah.
And they also made artillery for guns during the First World War.
Well, there you go.
I've been killed by a Peugeot.
I had a Peugeot, the exhaust fell off.
That is exactly what happened to my Peugeot also.
It was a different one.
The word here is late, but I think he means later.
Okay.
11 years later, we won my first motor race with Alfa Romeo in the Spa 24 Hours.
Well, there you go. So we're probably looking at... I've been around since 1907. 11 years after sometime in the 20s. So in the 30s, won the first race at Spa 24 Hours.
Introduced to motor race. Yeah, I'm just wondering, is it going to be a tyre company?
Oh, that's interesting.
It would be like Avon tyres or something like that.
Avon or Pirelli.
Well, if it's on an Alfa Romeo, Pirelli would make more sense.
Seeing as Alfa Romeo are based in Milan and Pirelli are based in Milan.
Yeah.
So
logic
because
would
the Italian
say.
car industry is based in Milan.
Well, mostly, yeah. So we need an answer. Don't we? Should we say Pirelli
I think
tyres?
Pirelli
is
first.
best guess.
We got Pirelli tyres as a first guess.
Right. I was involved with motorbikes for a short period of time, but I had to give up on that due to politics.
Still nothing leaping out at me.
Pirelli have done a motorbike tyre vaguely recently.
Yeah, there was a... Who was the gentleman who was a racing driver who ran away with the plans for a motorcycle and ran away to Japan with the plans for the motorcycle stuffed inside his leather jacket? Actually pulled over at the side of the race and was bundled into the back of a van by a bunch of Honda engineers.
So we're talking about this at
I don't know this
one of the
story,
last
but it sounds
MotoGP races of the
amazing.
season.
Yeah, he raced at the Isle of Man TT as well.
Yes.
He also raced cars. I can't remember his name. I'm sure there's a Daytona. There's a turn named after Matt Suzuka because he helped Honda build.
They were talking about that on one of the last MotoGP races.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
He stole the plans from his team for building the race bike, stuffed him inside his leathers, and actually pulled over at the side of the circuit, got out, jumped in the back of a van, and they took him to Japan and built bikes.
Amazing.
Yeah, Daytona. That's why the Daytona curves at Suzuka are named after him.
More?
Yes.
I flew with the Italian Air Force during World War One, but was shot down.
Probably not Daytona then, 'cause that sounds very German, doesn't it? An Italian Air Force in World War One. Well, that would have just been spy planes, really,
Yeah.
wouldn't it? Sort of the biplane thing. They wouldn't really have shooting fights like they did in the Second World War.
I don't know. There was
Also,
Baron von Richthofen, the Red Baron.
Wait a second. It's been around since 1907, and the First World War was 1914 to 1918. So you would have been 7 or 12.
The company would have been the company would have been formed in the last 10 to 12 years, or the mascot.
Yeah.
They were tough days.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't forget they used to send kids down coal mines at 3.
Well, yeah, they did. Yeah, it's a good point.
What did I find out the other day? That the term infantry was when they used to send miners in not as in coal miners, as in...
Well, no, it would have been coal miners because they would down the mines at 3.
Yeah. No, but when they used to
Infants.
send infants to war first, and that was the infantry.
Oh, there you
How
go.
terrifying is that thought?
I think we might need another clue.
Yeah.
I've got to give another guess very
It was only
soon.
5,
I
wasn't
have
it?
no idea. I've lost count.
Let's just get another
I got
clue.
lost in your story about stuffing things down leather and
Ooh.
no,
Back
and
to-
bundling into vans.
We're
and
back to frozen cows again.
possibly.
Only once have I failed to complete a single lap in a Formula One race.
Just would be Ferrari then.
No. Failed to complete a single lap in a race. What about the 2005 US Grand Prix when there was tyre shenanigans?
Between Michelin and Bridgestone, and the Bridgestone runners way. Oh god, it's the Michelin man again. It's Bibendum.
Bibendum, the Michelin man.
We've had this before. These are different clues, but that's what I'm going for.
We've had Pirelli.
Is that your
so
second
we're thinking
guess?
the
Shall we go for that as a second guess? Are
We
you the Michelin man? I reckon.
Michelin man or Michelin tyres.
Yeah.
Because Michelin, as they are French,
Yeah.
will have supplied tyres to Italian teams like Alfa Romeo.
Yeah. So, Bibendum, the Michelin man.
Also, just had a thought for some reason. Don't know why it's entered my head, but Pirelli since 1924 seems to ring a bell in my head. Don't know why.
Or 7:30.
Yeah.
Ready for clue 7?
Yep.
I have fantastic hair game.
Are you sure it's the
I
Michelin
can't
man?
think of his hair.
He hasn't
think
got
he
any
has
hair.
He has hair.
His head looks like a Lego man when you take the hair off.
I'd also like to point out that that is my favourite Turtle Shun hint ever.
So, Carlos Sainz's great-granddad?
Somebody who had amazing hair, who was shot down whilst flying for the Italian Air Force during the First World War. Has been around since 1907.
I've also just realised that somebody blocked me on Facebook.
Hang on.
You can't. No, you can't post to strangers on Facebook. So if you're a stranger and you're not a friend with them, what's the fucking good in blocking somebody?
Just don't send them a friend request.
Yeah. Does anyone else see, like...
If you follow someone, you can post to them. Because you can have follows as well as friends.
No, I've got mine locked down. You can't follow me and stuff like that. It's a personal thing. It's not Lee Stevens the character.
I still have trouble telling the difference, but anyway.
I think it's Ferrari.
Is it the Prancing Horse? Got big mane on it.
Well,
that's
because
me.
it won a race with Alfa Romeo. So did a Ferrari family man drive an Alfa Romeo to a win?
Possibly.
somewhere.
Possibly.
Dino Ferrari, perhaps. I think he was more the racer than Enzo was.
Well, that's why they named the racy of the cars after him.
Yeah, well, there's an Enzo, Ferrari Enzo, and a Fiat Dino, weirdly enough,
Would you like another clue?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Jamiroquai is a fan.
of
Well,
Ferraris.
he likes
cars.
fast cars generally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lamborghinis. Jamiroquai likes Lamborghinis. JK from Jamiroquai.
They have
I'm
a-
very confused.
Gemini?
Yeah,
Jamiroquai
well,
the band have a Manx bass player, but we don't talk about him.
No.
That's true. So does Take That?
The same guy.
Same guy.
Is
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
During my time in Formula One, I've only been involved with one Formula One team.
Yeah, it's got to be Lamborghini because they powered McLaren for one test session.
Ah, no. Because there was that Scuderia Italia that had Lamborghini engines.
Oh, did they?
Also, what about the hair game? Lamborghini not known for its hair.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, I am going for the Prancing Horse.
Oh,
The Prancing
The
Horse.
actual horse.
I
Do you
guess
think
the
the
horse
Prancing
would
Horse
have-
may have turned up on an Alfa Romeo at some point?
Would they have done like an aviation engine, or well, not an engine, but a plane? At some point?
I
Nay.
think actually, I think you're onto something, because I think the Prancing Horse did come from a fighting plane.
Prance into a fight.
The Prancing Horse was painted on the side of a fighter plane. I'm sure it was.
When you said a fighting plane, all I could imagine then was a cowboy going, now from where I'm from, there's a fighting plane.
A fighter plane, I meant. You know full well what I meant. No, be so pedantic over the mismatchingness of my words.
Because you say words good.
That's because I talks properly.
Goddamn fighting planes, what you need is a working plane. One of them flying planes.
Fighting planes are surely where the cowboys meet the Indians.
Cowboys and engines. Well, back to Renault then.
Yeah, I think we're talking about the Prancing Horse because I think now that you mention it, I'm pretty sure it was from the side of a fighter plane.
A fisticuffs aircraft.
You have just as much chance of seeing me on the racetrack as you do in the stands.
Now
of the
who can't
garage.
fucking talk?
I hadn't read the clue before I started to say it. I'm not the world's best speaker.
I think you mean goodest.
So,
I believe it's the Prancing Horse.
have you not, strictly speaking, got more chance of seeing that in the stands or on the garage? Because presumably it's on the each car.
It's only on two cars.
Yes, but every fucker's got a Ferrari flag.
I would say it's got to be the Prancing Horse. I can't think of anything else that it could be. The only thing that's confused me with that is that being on an Alfa Romeo. I can only think
If Dino Ferrari drove an Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, I think
the,
Dino did more racing than Enzo, I think, and then he would have painted a Prancing Horse on the side of his car as a tribute to the plane, the
Fighting plane.
fighting plane.
possibly because a member of his family was a plane fighter.
Maybe even him, maybe even his brother. I don't know.
Is that the last clue, or
That is the last clue.
should we go for it?
I think so. I'm just trying to think.
Anyone got anything else?
Prancing
Nah.
Horse is. I'm trying to think of the origins of the Ferrari badge. Out loud, the Prancing Horse, I'm pretty sure came from a plane. On the yellow, the yellow background is the yellow is the color of Modena, which is where Ferraris are made, and of course it's got the 3-stripe Italian flag across the top.
That they yell is because people are scared of the fighting.
That'll be what it is.
I'm going to put an end to this now. Are you the Prancing Horse?
Yes. Brilliant. That was a great one.
That was a fantastic one, Wayne. Thank you very much for that. Right, Formula Lee, and it was the last race of the season for the full summer series. Winter series to be announced in about 5 minutes, actually.
Yeah.
My God, it was close this week. In fact, up to this morning, I was in the bloody points.
Oh wow.
I'm not.
You're not now.
No, but I've won out of the 3 legs, 4 wheels.
Oh well, there you go. Paul's got number 1 out of 3 legs, 4 wheels.
Lee was last.
Was it really?
Well, out of the four it was Lee. You were 27th overall. In fact, Chris, you were 26th, and Dan was 25th.
Oh, there you go. That's quite close quarters then with the 3 of us.
I was 17th.
Well, there you
Good
go.
man.
Well done, Paul.
138.797, and as Sean will attest, I spent
Who did you get to set the time for you?
most of this evening swearing
There
at the
was
screen
a
because I
lot
couldn't.
swearing.
Because I couldn't match it. But the final points of the season are newcomer Alex Brown scoring a point on his debut in 10th place.
Well done, Alex.
138.
And welcome to Formula Lee.
Yes, just started following us on Twitter so he could send in his time. Oh God, he's Canadian. Oh, he's not a Patreon yet. That's all right.
I'd just like to clarify that we do not care whose money we take. You can be of any nationality, creed, or gender. You just give us money.
Okay then.
I'm just sick of you picking on Canadians. Might be loads of Canadians out there that want to give us money, then go, no, give
Like
money
Lance Stroll's dad.
Yeah.
I've got to listen to the Patreon to find out the meaning of that joke.
Well, yes. Well, we're kind of plugging it now, aren't we?
Yeah, I'll just give the address later. In 9th place, the returning Lee Webster.
Hey, Lee, you've got a good first name.
He's a bass player, I think.
Is he?
And he's a Ferrari fan, if I remember correctly.
Oh, 1 out of 3 isn't bad.
8th place was Patrick Daly, regular competitor. 7th place,
He's competing
Vajra
on the
Camping.
daily.
6th was Pete Bull. 5th, Max Williams. Jeff Sharp in 4th place this week.
So he's won the championship. He's taken his foot off the gas.
Yeah, he's Lewised it.
He took his foot off gas for the last few weeks, hasn't he?
Yeah, because he won the championship.
Since he won the championship and Project Cars 2 came out.
Yeah.
Round about the same week, actually. Top 3, Karl Jarozec, 137.178.
What a name.
Good effort, Carl.
2nd place, Freddie Brunner, 137.101.
That's a proper mid-grid 90s Formula 1 driver name, isn't it?
It is.
Carl Jarrett, is it?
Freddie Brunner. And 2nd win on the trot for Ollie Vestley.
Oh, well done, Ollie.
136.864.
Ollie
Brilliant.
Vestley's just a reserve driver. Could make it to Formula 1 like a Sandbird.
So, as it's the end of the season...
Isn't Ollie Vestley testing for somebody this week?
As it's the end of the season, Ultraflix have provided prizes for the top 10.
Ooh, there you go.
So, the top 10 in the 2017 Formula Lee season. In 10th place, a name we haven't mentioned for a long time, but I know he's still out there because I saw him set a time on something on Gran Turismo. Dave the Flying Flynn.
Oh, Dave Flynn.
Good man.
Yeah, the Flying Flynn.
Totally dominated the 2016 season.
Yeah, podium man.
Yeah.
Quite often, yes.
9th place, regular contributor Bradley Chambers.
Oh, well done, Bradley. 9th place.
Freddie Brunner actually got 8th overall. Ollie got 7th. Finn Wilson in 6th. Karl Jarozec in 5th. Luke Nipper 4th in the end. Not through want of trying.
No, it's a good effort though, Luke. Well done.
Pete Bull came 3rd. Entered every race in the season.
Well done, Pete. See, that's what you get for having a name like Pete Arse UK. Dedication to gaming there.
2nd place, Chris Olby, 245 points. Missed out eight races as well.
I've just realised I'm terrified to say anybody's name. Carry on.
And winning the title, Jeff Sharp.
Well done, Jeff.
413 points.
Well done, Jeff.
Competed in every round of the season as
You
well.
you also have a fine name, as Jeffrey is my middle name.
We'll be getting in touch with the top 10 this week. We'll be sorting out their prizes courtesy of Ultraflix.
Yeah.
And now it is the time to launch. We're not having a new logo for this.
No,
The Winter Series.
the Winter Series.
The Winter Series is going to be in classic cars. Mm-hmm. Every race will be a 2-week one because it's a lot easier that way.
Yeah.
It's going to be on a variety of tracks, which Lee will choose every week,
Yeah.
along with the car. Going to jiggle the points about as well.
You can jiggle what you want about.
Because it's Winter Series and we don't have to stay aligned with any particular sport, so we can do what we want.
Yeah, but for the next season of Formula Lee, we're going to change. We're going to add more points as well,
Ooh.
so that more people can get in the points. Because what I should have said was there are 2 extra prizes for Formula Lee for the season that's just finished, courtesy of Zach Henderson and Niall Slim Drew, who both put prizes in themselves.
Thank you very much, Niall and Zach, for your kind generosity.
Yeah.
So we are going to do a draw between, for one prize, everyone that has taken part this season.
Yeah.
And there are how many people have taken part? Is this from like 160? Entrants.
Not quite that many. There's been 138.
Wow.
That's still a lot.
That's 138 people who have played in Formula Lee this year, which is absolutely amazing. And thank you to everyone
Does that
that's
mean
taken
that
part.
the prize has to be something to do with the Misfits? We are 138.
No, possibly.
I think it at least deserves a fucking tip of the hat from Codemasters.
It does.
It really should do.
The
So
game's shit.
some of this was on 2016, which was.
Oh, right, okay.
Which was better?
So we're going to do a draw for everyone that's taken part, and for the other prize, everyone that's been in the points.
Yeah.
So we're going to do 2 draws, and we'll accept any of us 4.
Oh, I was getting excited then.
It's kind of cheating, really. So we'll sort those draws out, and we will announce the winners next week on the podcast. I think we're going to need to do points for the top 20.
Sounds good.
Double the amount of points and work downwards, or?
I'll work something out.
I think we just go 20 for the win.
2019 and down to 1 point.
Down to 1 point.
That's fair enough.
Makes it dead easy, doesn't it?
Yeah,
and
it does.
really close if you drop a couple of positions for the next race.
Yeah.
Yes.
So top 20 will be point scorers. And if we do get the prize from CM Helmets sorted out, which they haven't sent us yet.
No, they've gone a bit quiet at the moment, but hopefully I can get in touch with them and we'll see.
CM Punk does.
Yes. And we'll see if we can get that the prize of the helmet, which we spoke about a few podcasts ago. See if we can get that back moving again.
If we can get that sorted, then what we'll do is a draw at the end of the season where every time you finish in the points, you get 1 entry to the draw. And there'll be a prize at the end of the season for the biggest point scorers as well.
Yeah.
So, we're going to start off the winter series. How and where?
We are going to start the winter season off with...
I feel like doing a drum roll.
But
no, it would be terrible as well, because they would sound like a tractor.
Right. And that was really weird because it made my sinuses wobble and it felt like my eyes were shaking. We're going to start off with mindlessly self-indulgence.
Go.
I thought that's what the whole thing was.
Well, okay, but this is more so. We're going to have my joint favourite car with another car. My other favourite car being that wall over there.
A joint second favourite joint car with favourite with the other car.
I mean? I've got 2 favourite Formula 1 cars.
So it's a car you like as much as the BGP01?
Yes.
Right.
The Williams FW18.
Okay.
Because
the 96 Damon Hill car.
Yeah, because that was that year that properly cemented me into being a Formula 1 fan.
Right.
And we're going to do it on my favourite track, which is, or my favourite track in a game, I should say.
Yeah.
Which is, there's 2 really, but we'll go with Australia.
Australia.
Yeah.
So we're starting the season in Australia.
Wet or dry?
You see, if we are just going by what Lee wants, I do tend to do, especially amongst the 4 of us, I do pretty well in the wet, don't I?
You do?
I don't think I've lost in the wet yet, as far as the inter-team battle goes.
No.
Don't think so.
No.
But I do like racing around there in the dry. But if it means Lee gets extra points, wet!
Right, so, to clarify, that is the 1996 Williams FW18.
Yeah.
In Australia.
Yeah.
Full course, I think there's a shortened version.
Full course.
Yeah. So, 1996 Williams FW18, Australia in the wet.
Yeah.
2-week challenge. We'll give an update on next week's show. And I think from now on with Formula Lee, I'm going to update the times after the first week on a daily basis on the website. Because people keep sending tweets and emails in saying, how am I doing, who's doing what do I need? So the first week, get practicing, get your times sorted, and then from the Monday of the second week I will start doing daily updates on the website as to the current state of play on the timesheets.
Seems good. If anyone out there is playing on Xbox, no, it doesn't matter because I haven't got an Xbox. I was going to say I could do a screenshot. I'm not buying it on Xbox just to take a screenshot to make it easier. Doesn't matter.
Ladies and gentlemen, the thought process of Lee.
There is one in there somewhere.
Yeah. However, if anyone does want to add me on Xbox Live, LeadRun100 as normal.
Same as your PlayStation name, basically.
As soon as PlayStation let me change, like Xbox let me change, I will change them all to a total shunt.
Fair enough, but you can't at the moment.
No.
I think that's about it for this week.
Should we do the old Facebook page thing?
I was going to say, that's about it for all the stuff this week. If you want to get in touch...
Yes.
You say, breaking my flow.
There you go.
Ryder. If you want to get in touch, you can tweet us at 3legs4wheels, or...
I'm at a total shunt.
At Flood21.
At Sean Cowper.
At Pablo100, and Dan is at Danbert.
Yeah.
Look us up on Facebook. We're on there, facebook.com/3legs4wheels. You can find us on Instagram as well. I can't remember the URL for that, but if you search
Three Legs 4 Wheels.
Search 3 Legs 4 Wheels, we are there.
Yeah.
There's also the extra show that you can get by subscribing to our Patreon, which is patreon.com/3 legs 4 wheels. 20, 25, 30-minute show every week about things.
Anything and everything that's not
Formula One. Just want to thank all the patrons for the donations on there. I know we've got a few new ones this week, so thanks and welcome along to all of you.
Thank you.
And if you want to drop us an email, be really old school about it, you can get us 3legs4wheels@gmail.com.
Yep. Don't send me abusive text messages on Facebook.
And don't abuse Lee. Sean, thank you for the last couple of weeks. I'm sure you'll be back again soon. When Dan's off on his next mission.
Well, as I say, secret missions and Dan go hand in hand, and if you look what's happened around the world lately, I'm not saying Dan had a hand in it.
You're not saying he did, you're not saying he didn't.
Nope.
Dan obviously often goes hand in hand with something secret that we're not allowed to talk about. We'll be back next week. We'll have our season review.
Yeah.
Might even do the awards ceremony at some point that we didn't do last year because Nico Rosberg got in the way.
Yeah, we should
I've
do
suddenly
that.
forgotten everything I was doing approximately 7 years ago.
Yes. Also, second plug, go and listen to my other podcast. Whoa, I forgot it.
Must See Audio.
It's getting late, guys.
Yeah, Lee's other show, Must Remember Title.
Yeah, if you like my particular brand of patty, you might like that.
Stranger things have happened.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week.
Of course they have. There's been 2 seasons now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.